Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary News Talk live stream pre-stream. Glad you're here. Twitch has not responded to our appeal, so we will not be broadcasting on Twitch today, but we are everywhere else, including YouTube, and we hope that you enjoy. We got a great show. Head on over to canarycry.party, sign up for the newsletter, and other things. Go ahead. Do it. I dare you. You're going to love it. Other than that, not a whole lot to announce today, except for it is Monday. So everybody better be on your best behavior. Okay. Let's see. Anything? No, there's no new announcements. Isn't that wonderful? Except for I am wearing a ice vest and my whole body is freezing. So more about that during the show. All right, everybody, make sure to stay hydrated and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Let's go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. We are live to tape on August 15th, 2022. This is episode number 522. Whoa. And today, Kissinger of Death. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live from California, here to serve you a podcast with the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomenon is spiritual psyop.
And yes, it promises to be a great show. Interesting weekend, and we'll be catching up on all the news and the stories and the analysis and the deconstruction to start your week off right. But before that, Gonz, why don't I give you a little rundown?
Run me down, baby.
Here I go. Well, we're going to be starting off with a little update about Henry Kissinger and what he sees going on in the world. Does it portend good things or the bad things? Who knows? Well, we know. We'll let you know. Then, FLIPPY is reversing the curse, baby. We'll see how FLIPPY is breathing new life and mobility into a certain reptile. Then, in topic one, we'll be diving into the ongoing Trump saga, a little bit of mind control. What is going on? People are going crazy. Well, we've got some things to say about that. Then, after the break, we're going to be revisiting our deconstruction of the Christian nationalism movement. Is it a real movement? Is it created by the media? Is it a little bit of both? Well, we'll find out. After that, climate change, baby! And lucky you, we're gonna save the earth by eating. That's fun. That's one way to do it. And then to round out the show, we'll have a Nephilim update at the end. But before that, it's time for our lead stories.
Yeah, let's do this.
A new world order can emerge, a new era A new world order. New world order. New world order. Screw your freedom.
Ooh. So starting out here, we're coming from the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what Kissinger's up to?
Yeah, so Henry Kissinger wrote his, I think, 19th book, and the Wall Street Journal, of course, has to do their part in promoting the 99-year-old's work. And the Wall Street Journal has this headline here: Henry Kissinger is worried about disequilibrium. The 99-year-old former Secretary of State has just published a book on leadership and sees a dangerous lack of strategic purpose in U.S. foreign policy. We won't go through the whole article, but the thing that caught my attention, and I think a lot of people's attention when they looked at this, came to this link here on the Wall Street Journal, there is a big header here where the top of the article, where there's usually an image or something like that. In this occasion, there's a looped video of Henry Kissinger, slow-mo, putting on his glasses and then taking off his glasses, and it just loops over and over again. And it's almost to say, look at my human eyes. Notice how they're not lizardly, it's
Notice how I'm not a reptilian.
Yeah, very interesting. Not the most flattering thing.
Well, the man is 99, Gon.
Sure, sure, I guess.
The fact that he's even able to take off and put on his own glasses is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so let's go through the article just briefly here. I have some things highlighted to point out here. Again, the headline is Henry Kissinger is worried about disequilibrium on the Wall Street Journal, written by Laura Secor. And it says, at 99 years old, Henry Kissinger has just published his 19th book, Leadership, 6 Studies in World Strategy. It is an analysis of the vision and historical achievements of an idiosyncratic pantheon of post-World War II leaders. And it lists some people: Konrad Adenauer, Charles de Gaulle, Richard Nixon, Anwar Sadat, Lee Kuan Yew, and Margaret Thatcher. Quite the list.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a pantheon. It's interesting because we've talked about the sort of construction of, the U.S. government and how the deist, forefathers who founded our country were sort of obsessed with the Greek pantheon specifically. And they really kind of constructed a system of government that does sometimes literally consider its leaders to experience an apotheosis, to join the pantheon of gods. Right. And, they loved it. And it went much further than just like being enthusiasts. They literally created rituals that, if you're a good enough American leader, you get to lay in state and so go up and take your seat at the throne next to George Washington there.
Right. I'm not going to read. I'm going to skip a few paragraphs down here. It says, block quote, I think that the current period has a great trouble defining a direction. It's very responsive to the emotion of the moment. And the article continues, one never goes long in conversation with Mr. Kissinger without hearing the word purpose, the defining quality of the prophet, along with another equilibrium, the guiding preoccupation of the statesman.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Again, sort of talking about American politics as if it were not just a religion, but like an actual spiritual mechanism
it's an
or
agenda.
Hierarchy.
Yeah. Since the 1950s, when he was a Harvard scholar writing on nuclear strategies, Mr. Kissinger has understood diplomacy as a balancing act among great powers shadowed by the potential for nuclear catastrophe. The apocalyptic potential of modern weapons technology, in his view, makes sustaining an equilibrium of hostile powers, however uneasy it might be, an overriding imperative of international relations. Quote, in my thinking, equilibrium has 2 components, he tells me, quote, a kind of balance of power with an acceptance of the legitimacy of sometimes opposing values, because if you believe that the final outcome of your effort has to be the imposition of your values, then I think equilibrium is not possible. So one level is a sort of absolute equilibrium, end quote. The other level, he says, is, quote, equilibrium of conduct, meaning there are limitations to the exercise of your own capabilities and power in relation to what is needed for the overall equilibrium, end quote. Achieving this combination takes, quote, an almost artistic skill, he says. Quote, it's not very often that statesmen have aimed at it deliberately because power had so many possibilities of being expanded without being disastrous that countries never felt that full obligation. And it goes on. He just talks more about it. He talks about leadership. There's a hint in Leadership of Mr. Kissinger's hope that contemporary American statesmen might absorb the lessons of their predecessors. Quote, I think that the current period has a great trouble defining a direction, he says. He continues, it's very responsive to the emotion of the moment. Americans resist separating the idea of diplomacy from that of, quote, personal relationships with the adversary, end quote. They tend to view negotiations, he tells me, in missionary rather than psychological terms, seeking to convert or condemn their interlocutor. Am I messing up that word?
Interlocutor? Yeah. I'm not looking at it. But
interlocutors.
Yes,
rather than
the person you are talking to.
Right. Rather than to penetrate their thinking. Mr. Kissinger sees today's world as verging on a dangerous disequilibrium. And I love this quote here. There was a part that I thought was more provocative that I won't read. But he says, quote, we are at the edge of war with Russia and China on issues which we partly created.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
oh, okay.
fun.
You guys partly created it. All right.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. But yeah, there's more in here.
It's funny because, like, who else would have created it?
Right.
I mean, on one hand, he could be saying, it's partly their fault, partly our fault, et cetera, which, yeah, is just how sort of being a human works.
Yeah. He goes through all the Russia stuff and China.
I'm sure the leaders don't really appreciate Henry Kissinger going against the official line that the war in Russia was unprovoked. And Chinese aggression, again, is unprovoked. Yeah. Let me wrap it out here. There's the last part here. It's talking about Ukraine and NATO and all this kind of stuff. And then the author asks the question, if the avoidance of nuclear war is the greatest good, what is owed to small states whose only role in the global equilibrium is to be acted upon by larger ones? That's a really good question. Quote, how to marry our military capacity to our strategic purpose, Mr. Kissinger reflects, and how to relate those to our moral purposes. It's an unsolved problem, end quote. Looking back over his long and often controversial career, however, he is not given to self-criticism. Asked if he has regrets from his years in power, he replies, quote, from a manipulative point of view, I ought to learn a great answer to that question because it's always being asked, end quote. But while he might revisit some minor tactical points, on the whole, he says, quote, I do not torture myself with things we might have done differently, end quote. Yeah. That's how he sleeps at night. Spoken like a true
psychopath.
Magician. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just don't worry about the horrible, awful things that my decisions have resulted in, the deaths of nations, really. And
well, spoken like a true American politician, really.
True. Yeah. So, yeah, that's fun. Little Kissinger. And Kissinger, for those of you who may not know him, he's been around for a very long time. I mean, obviously, he's 99 years old. Does that mean he was born in 1923? Holy moly,
must be.
That's how the math is. I have this clip just as a reminder. This is back when Kissinger met with Trump. I think it was right after Trump got into office. And I just have this one moment here. Let me see if I can play it. I might have some issues with the audio. Let's see.
I'm here at a moment when the opportunity to build a constructive, peaceful world order.
There you go. Yeah, he's there with Trump as an opportunity.
What did he hear?
Let me
what
repeat
did he say?
He says he's there. He's the visual here is he's sitting there with Trump doing the photo op, right next to each other, and he says that he's here with the opportunity to build a constructive, peaceful world order, which is very great.
Right.
So, he's always talked about the New World Order. This has been his shtick for a long time.
Sure.
But there he is, right, sitting with Trump.
Well, it's crazy to
delivering
think
message.
this guy was of age and already fairly influential during the sort of New World Order 1.0
right,
post-World
the
War II.
takeoff. Post World War II, the restructuring of all the international, the rise of international institutions, and what some would call the first reset in many ways.
Disequilibrium.
Disequilibrium, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has such specific echoes of sort of the, Freemasonic / occult / technocratic / all the slashes.
Yeah, the
Goals.
Georgia Guidestones.
Yes,
the
that's
population
exactly right.
reduction and balance with nature. It's this
Equilibrium.
Yeah.
So the disequilibrium, it's interesting. I would be curious actually to check it. I've never read any of his books. I don't.
They're pretty dense. I have a couple in my library, and you try to get through that thing, it's like, oh.
I would be curious to check out this new one and see, how much of the Great Reset, New World Order 2.0 is sort of advocated there.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If that guy says we're in disequilibrium, I believe him. You can't argue with that. Okay. Well, speaking of disequilibrium, apparently that's just a word I'm not able to say. So speaking of the word that I cannot say, it is this week is a little unbalanced, Gons. We're right at the beginning, so we better do our best to keep things moving.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
That's right.
Monday.
It is Monday. We're back again.
Yep.
How was your weekend there, Gonzo?
Sweaty.
Oh.
Air conditioner is broken. And
Hey.
I hate to, I'm not going to dox my landlord, but come on, landlord. It's been like 5 years. We've been telling you that the coolant that the AC unit uses is expired in 2011. We can't get new coolant for this thing. It's leaking everywhere. It's melting. The unit is from like 1987 or something. Come on, let's replace the AC unit.
It's time to adapt. It's
But
time to adapt, Gons.
We don't push too hard because they can raise rent on us. That's not something we want right now.
Yeah.
So we have to pick our poison.
Trust me, I'm sure they're going to do that regardless of if they fix the AC unit.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Welcome to the club, Gons. So that means we're both hot now. We're just a couple of hot boys doing a podcast. I am still off the grid, still no air conditioning. Thank God that it is not as hot as it was, last month or so. But those who are watching the video, they might notice something a little different. That's right, Gons. I busted it out. I got my Tweet Hungry Boys apron on from last supply drop, which is good timing because I did just receive in the mail. I stepped up my ice pack game. Stepped up the game. No longer am I just using the regular plastic bottles that you toss in the freezer. No. Now I've got some hat inserts. I've got an ice pack in my hat right now. That feels good. And I'm also wearing what amounts to a sort of frozen flak jacket. It's like a vest, like an ice pack vest. It's nice and stretchy. I did have to suck it in a little bit to get the thing zipped. But I am in and feeling good. In fact, it's a little too cold because I put it on maybe a half hour before the show started. And my entire torso is just numb now. So hopefully it keeps my temperature down. But it's a weird feeling going on. Now, if you're watching the video, it kind of looks kind of funny. It kind of looks like a bulletproof vest.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, you won't feel anything either way because you're numb.
I kind of look like I'm in some sort of cop-themed buddy comedy movie. I've got my white shirt under it, slightly pink if you really squint. Thanks, washer and dryer. And then I've got my my ice pack vest, which looks straight up. It's like kind of like the FBI blue color. It looks like I'm wearing a bulletproof vest underneath my kitchen apron, my Tweet Hungry Boys kitchen apron. I think it's a pretty good look, actually.
Yeah.
You know, kind of rounds out the sort of lunacy that is the VR headset with the googly eyes.
Sure, yeah. No, I think we have a product that we can put together. Ice pack / bulletproof vest. And keep you cool and protect you from the bullets.
Right.
Those liberal bullets, yeah.
I'm feeling the liberal, the IRS bullets or something. But other than that, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling protected. Feeling protected in so many different ways.
Good to feel cozy.
I think other than that, I think that's it. And so with that, I want to take a second and thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right. We are on the value for value model, folks, which means we take no money from corporations whatsoever. And that is not just because we don't want to play ads. Ads are sort of a symptom of the corporate money, not the sickness itself. And, you got to remember, some people, they say, oh, I hate all these breaks. I wish you would just sell ads. I wish you would just take money from lizard people so they could slowly manipulate me over time to spend money I don't have on things I don't need. But here's the fact of the matter, folks. It's not about the ads necessarily. It's about the corporate interests that are attached to those ads. Once you start taking that corporate money, it's hard to get off, folks. And just like, who was it? Was it Nancy Reagan? Or Laura Bush? I don't know. Just say no, folks. Just say no.
I think that's Bush era. I remember. Well, maybe it's Reagan. I was a kid when that campaign rolled out. I was trying to
remember.
I was in elementary school, so yeah.
Yeah, us millennials, the DARE program is forever. The DARE program is like an American institution. We don't remember a time before the DARE program. But we're doing the DARE program just for corporate money instead of drugs. You can just say no to drugs too, folks. But here's the thing. Wow, that was a rabbit trail. We're on the value for value model, no corporate money whatsoever, which means we are entirely funded by listeners like you. And when you come in, support the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure, you get to call yourself a producer, because that's what we call you. And the executive producers are those who come in, carry a heavy load, keep the show going, and we're so grateful to them. And as of this moment, Guns, we have one executive producer for the day.
All right. Who is it?
Mm-hmm. That is executive producer One Lousy Petunia.
One Lousy Petunia. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yes. Thank you. Glad to see you back on the list here. One Lousy Petunia comes in with a nice round number, which means that we do not disclose the amount when it comes in a nice round number. If you, dear listener, are thinking of producing the show, keep that in mind. If you don't mind us disclosing the amount, you just make it a fun number. A lot of people put 33 cents or 77 cents or something, just a signal to let us know that you don't mind us disclosing. But One Lousy Petunia, executive producer One Lousy Petunia, also has a note here that I will read. And this is actually Job 5, verse 17 through 19. So the poor have hope, and injustice shuts her mouth. Behold, blessed is the one whom God reproves. Therefore despise not the discipline of the Almighty. For he wounds, but he binds up. He shatters, but his hands heal. Job 5, 17 through 19. Thank you very much, executive producer One Lousy Petunia.
Thank you.
Where'd you find this?
And amen to that, man. That's some good stuff.
My belly is cold. Okay, real quick before we keep moving, I want to mention some meetups.
Canary Cry Meetup.
That's right. Go to canarycrymeetups.com. Canarycrymeetups.com. You can see all the meetups happening this month and beyond. If you are a human being who listens to this show, you have a need, and that need is to fellowship with people like you. It's these meetups are a wonderful time. People are having fun, making friends, finding their soulmates, and simply just getting out of the house, which is always a benefit. Let's see here. This month, August 24th, we've got the Knoxville, Tennessee meetup. RSVP to Organized Sheep at proton.me. On the 27th is when we got the triple threat. We've got the Houston, Galveston, Texas meetup. You can email Davey Frost, that's Davey with an EY, Frost at gmail.com for the Houston Galveston meetup. We've got the Ozark and Branson, Missouri meetups on the 27th and 28th. You can email sundancer8910 at gmail.com to head on over there to the Missouri meetups. We've also got the Garland, Texas meetup on August 27th. That is so many meetups. And that is, let's see here. Who are we contacting for that? That's Adam42 on the Discord. Oh, you know what? Adam42, he sent me an email address that we need to put on there.
Okay.
But yes, there's the Garland, Texas meetup is 7 to 10 p.m. They are talking, their theme is Wrestling with Theodicy with a guest speaker, Ellis Wright, and that is at the Household of Faith in Garland, Texas. So you can either show up there. We hear that a bunch of Canarians go to that every single month. Anywhere between a half a dozen to a couple dozen or something. Canarians show up to that every month. So if you're looking to find other people like you who listen to the show, you can get along, you can talk about all the crazy stuff, and, make some friends for when things go south. And they may be going south sooner than we expect. Go to canarycrimeetups.com, and we'll see you at the meetup.
All right.
This is fun!
That was a weird noise I made. I was just grunting as I tried to get to the noise a Flippy would make.
Real quick before we do that, somebody is asking when the Massachusetts meetup is.
Ooh,
Tony,
when is
sounds like you're planning it, Tony.
Tony's
Massachusetts meetup. We got Massachusetts people want to meet up. All right, but you know who you don't want to run into in Massachusetts? That's Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. This is an interesting one, Gons. Today, the Flippy, this is not quite Flippy proper, which is a robotic arm. I'm going to have to call this guy Floppy. There's Flippy and there's Floppy. Floppy refers to robotic legs now. And this is coming from BoingBoing.net. Very cool name for a website. And quick little description paragraph here. Maker, dubious assertions buster, and snake hater, or lover, Alan Pan decided he wanted to right one of nature's wrongs. He decided to try and give snakes legs, like most self-respecting critters. So he designed, tested, and built a robotic walking vehicle that a snake can crawl into and commandeer, because we totally want snakes doing that.
Yeah, the headline...
Nightmare fuel alert.
Yeah, the headline was Nightmare Fuel Alert. Yeah, giving a snake a set of robot legs. So
giving a snake a set of robot legs. Now, this is did such a good job of giving us a nice visual on this here. So if you are watching the video, you are looking at, or you will be looking at, this strange device, which is a tube. It is a tube, an open tube on both ends, with two pairs of legs, a couple on the front, couple on the back, and this little snake, it kind of gets to slither into the tube, and as long as he stays in the tube, he has he's now is in some sort of snake-based robo-mech suit that has given the snakes legs. And look, folks, We talk about robots a lot, specifically robot arms. Now we got robot legs here. Talking about the social engineering aspects of it, how they are bringing robots into our everyday life. But there are deeper, darker elements to the robot takeover. Oh, this is nice. He put a leash on the robo-mech suit, so now he's taking his little snake friend for a walk. This is pretty hilarious. Deeper, darker elements to this. Now, I mentioned in my opening, FLIPPY, reversing the curse, baby. As we all know, Genesis chapter 1?
3.
3?
Mm-hmm. It's after the curse.
Is after the curse, right.
Or part of the curse.
Genesis chapter 3, after the serpent, tempted the humans to disobey the one job that they had. And so many aspects of the curse took place. They realized that they were naked. They had to till the ground, pain in childbirth, etc., etc. But the snake, the serpent, as punishment, he lost his legs and was sort of doomed to slither around in the dust.
It's kind of inferred because it says that he's going to toil on the ground, sniff dirt and that kind of thing.
That's right. We're just sort of paraphrasing not just the Bible itself, but also thousands of years of sort of theological
commentary,
assertions and commentary. But yes, that's how the snake lost its legs. And Gons, I'm telling you, if there is one sort of symbol that combines the centuries old, the millennia old mission for the serpent to regain his place, to regain his legs, to reverse his curse, get his legs back using not only, the sort of knowledge and what's the word? The manipulation of human beings in order to regain his power, through the occult symbology, the occult influence on society, the technocratic, the deep murmurings of the technocratic promise that will return us to a state before the fall. It all culminates here, Gons. The adversary has made some headway. Or shall I say, great strides to assembling his own throne here on Earth, starting with this snake-piloted robo-mech suit. These kind of a cute YouTube video. These YouTube creators are, they're just making entertainment. They're trying to be cute. They're trying to make cool stuff. Little do they know that they have been manipulated by the forces of darkness to equipping the serpent with what was taken from him so long ago.
Yeah, and we joke a little bit because it is pretty hilarious to see this snake in the tube and then these little arms on the ends of the tube, like walking.
If it weren't so diabolical, it would be kind of cute.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute watching this guy.
There's a few things that troubled me about this whole thing. First of all, it was, when I saw it this morning, it was trending number 33 on YouTube, but of course it's trending number 32 as of this recording here. And, something I noticed, the title of the video, and this really spoke to the state of our world here. It's all lower caps, and the title of the video is "Giving Snakes Their Legs Back." Period. There is spelled THERE. Come on, can we at least get the grammar correct or something?
Yeah.
And then the description. This is a video by Alan Pan. The description, all lowercase again. God made a snake.
Jokes.
Direct little stab at God there. But even more sort of disturbing, I think, is the pinned comment at the very top is by YouTube, and I double check. This is the YouTube account, like the master YouTube account.
The master YouTube account. Yeah. Okay.
And their comment is all lowercase. Finally, someone cares enough to give the snakes their legs back.
What?
Snake emoji, heart emoji.
Oh my gosh, the lizard people are here. They are here, and they have confirmed their bias towards giving snakes their legs back. Wow, that is pretty interesting. What do you got to do to get the official YouTube account to comment on your video?
Yeah, your love for snakes, or at least this strange desire to assist in the, I don't know, rebellion against God,
Sure,
to reverse the curse. And that's really, we're big fans of Dr. Michael Heiser, and he talked about the Nachash, the Shining One, which is sort of a partial translation for the serpent, which is more commonly known. And he goes into some theology there, how, he wasn't exactly evil. He was actually doing, and I know that triggers some people, he was actually doing what he was created to do in some sense. And this is Dr. Heiser's argument, that he was created as a sort of rebellion against God's creation and his plan in general. So, there's a lot of theology there. But, along those lines, and of course, the occult sort of, logic to this is sort of, and the spiritual logic is fascinating, because it's almost like we don't have to say anything anymore. Like, we've said our piece. Stories like this just affirm what we've been saying, that there's a spiritual thing taking place here, the revealing of, or the rising again of Satan, really, and the serpent, and
the adversary,
more specifically. So very fun, interesting at the same time, but also diabolical, as you said. It's all kind of mixed in together.
I mean, it is pretty interesting. The mix. It is such a confusing topic, or a confusing video, because it is such an interesting mix of, like, adorable. It's adorable to see animals get the ability to do something that they hadn't done before.
What do you mean done before? You mean?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Haven't done in millennia.
Haven't done in a while. You got these, you ever seen the video of, like, the turtle who got a wheelchair? They attach the wheels onto the turtle. Any animal really who gains mobility in one way or another is kind of cute. But at the same time, just the deep, dark, occult significance of robotics giving legs back to the serpent.
Who inspired this gentleman to do this experiment? That's what I want to know. Who's whispering? Who's speaking to him in his dreams to inspire him to do this?
The dark murmurings during the night.
It's close.
Yeah, so there you go. That's your Flippy update for the day. It's a floppy update.
Flippy 1133. Uploading binary code. Execute order 666. Infiltrate humans with extreme kindness. Then exterminate all humans with prejudice. Exterminate.
Go to canarycry.party on your web browser. Canarycry.party is a website with a tree of links that leads to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, how to connect with us and the community.
That's right. And there's all sorts of great stuff over there. I'd recommend you join the newsletter. The newsletter is an email we send out before every live show. A, reminds you the show is going live. B, we provide all of the art and sources for the show, so you can have all the articles and sources that we use that you can use to go back and check the sources for yourself, or use them in conversations, whether online or with people in the meet space, whatever you want to do. Go check it out. This is the newsletter. You'll see. You just sign in. Just put your little email in there. Don't worry. We don't sell emails. We don't do nothing like that. We just want to keep you connected. You can also listen to Ravel, which is a podcast I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates, who's got a PhD in biblical interpretation. We discuss scripture, society, and scandal, having tough conversations in good faith. episode just dropped yesterday, called the Sea Monster and the Savior, which is another sermon preached by Dr. Chris, which is excellent. And it's if you liked the Dr. Corey Barnes episode regarding sea monsters and Near East mythology and context for the Bible, Dr. Chris really brings that around in this sermon. I highly recommend it. You can check out Ravel on all your podcast players, as well as Canary Cry Party. You can find links to the Canary Cry mixtape Volume 1. You definitely want to do that. Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. Go subscribe. Get all this wild, wacky podcast 4-hour-long episode cut up into manageable bite-sized chunks. You can review information, share information, etc.
On that, real quick.
Yes.
We're at 993 subscribers on the Canary Cry Clips channel, so 7 more to 1,000.
7 more.
Come on, folks.
Yes.
If you haven't
Are
subscribed
you the
yet.
1,000th follower? You get a big prize from somebody. Maybe not from us.
Oh, boy.
But from somebody. Then you can text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's 877-740-3226. If you text the word Canary to that number, you'll be put on our text message alert system. We don't gather any personal information. All we do is send out a little alert before we go live, just in case you're one of the throngs of people who don't get notifications when we go live. Thanks, YouTube and others. That's it. Go to canarycry.party to have a good time.
Hey, that's new ending to the segment.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Good. All right. Let's go.
We will launch a new age.
Mind control weapons.
Okay. So let's see here. Why don't I start this out, and then you can you can keep the momentum going here. This is an interesting day. We are about a little over a week out from the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
On 8/8.
The madness continues. Oh, does it continue? An interesting update on this. There really hasn't been any significant updates on the actual documents received, or as far as the official announcements have gone. Not much has changed over the weekend. However, there was this article from Newsweek.com. The headline: Breitbart slammed for doxing FBI agents involved in Mar-a-Lago raid. Oopsie daisies. You know what? Doxing. So disrespectful. Conservative media outlet Breitbart is facing criticism for publishing the names of FBI agents involved in the raid of former President Donald Trump's home. This term, and it just rings a bell every time I see it now. Which outlets are using raid, which are not using raid. We're told it wasn't a raid. You're not supposed to say raid. It was a search warrant, even though that's what a raid is, like what you call a raid. That's just what it is.
They should just change it to a rave,
A rave,
just
the rave at former
the FBI
the raid
was
rave.
involved in a rave with President Donald Trump.
It would give a nice sort of fun, flair to it.
Yeah.
But it's funny. You're not supposed to say raid. However, pretty much every outlet still continues to say raid. So there's this weird sort of double speak going on there. Breitbart published a leaked version of the Mar-a-Lago search warrant, including the names of an FBI special agent and supervisor agent on Friday. The agents both signed their names on receipts for property seized from Trump's home, including boxes of classified documents that reportedly may have included nuclear secrets. Ooh.
May have included.
May have, yes.
And what nuclear... Okay, we've gone over this. We don't need to talk about it.
A redacted version of the warrant, which omitted the names of the agents, was officially released hours later. And then it goes into commentators soon took to Twitter to accuse Breitbart, an outlet previously managed by former Trump advisor Steve Bannon, of doxing, the practice of identifying a person or releasing personal information about them, often with the aim of enabling targeted harassment. Some also accused Trump of leaking the warrant to Breitbart in hopes of targeting the agents. And then it kind of just gives a bunch of tweets. And tweets apparently are still news. So this was an interesting development. I kind of went back and forth on, like, is it actually doxing to use the name of like a publicly paid person? It's not really doxing. I mean, maybe if you put out their birthday and their social security and their address and their phone number and their kids' names, that's usually what doxing entails. Simply, having their names unobscured from an official government document, which, I mean, I guess they could prefer that information get released to the public either officially or through a FOIA request or something. But
right.
Anyways, doxing, I don't know if that's the right word. However, they are taxpayer-funded government officials, and if they're doing things, that's the alternate conversation to be had about that.
I did speak to, there's somebody that I know who works at the FBI. Not
your handler.
Not a handler
Your
officially.
Handler. Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm really trying to get in there, but there's
this is someone who doesn't know. This is just somebody No. They don't really know you as you.
Not really.
Do they know what you do? I mean, if
quite.
they're in the CIA, maybe they are your handler. You're saying, hey, handler wars. I'm Gonza's handler. Okay, step off my turf, other handler.
So I asked this person who describes themselves as a pencil pusher at the FBI. So he always says like, "Hey, it's not as exciting as people make it out to be on the TV shows and stuff."
Well, that's true.
Yeah, and he was kind of saying that there wasn't. He had already expressed to me in prior that there's a very small group of people in the FBI that are doing this kind of thing, and we're not really privy to anything, and we're just kind of doing our jobs day to day. There's a drug bust that we're getting. So he was just kind of saying there's not much. They did get some alerts based on a couple things that I'll mention here following, which is these FBI buildings getting targeted. So he did get a notice from his higher ups about that, which is kind of understandable. A little, a report or just a memo to go out like, hey, watch out. The people are crazy or whatever it is.
Right.
Which is understandable but again, nothing too crazy from his end, from someone working within the FBI, other than maybe some friends
is it
texting
FBI
him.
Or CIA?
No, he's
FBI.
FBI.
He's FBI.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yes, not the CIA, which some would argue that it's one and the same at some point. But So nothing super important to report from that little anecdote.
Okay. Well,
but
good.
Just
Love
thought
it.
I'd mention that a lot of times with this kind of thing. It's the same thing with Freemasonry, like if you're, because a lot of people have family and stuff that are involved in the lower levels and everything. And it's not that they're sitting there going, oh yes, let me get into the club and worship Satan. And maybe, they're not really thinking that. They're more thinking, I'm just part of a club. I'm just helping out the community. And so that's kind of how they get you.
Yeah. But, level 1 Freemasonry is you're pretty much washing dishes at the lodge all day long.
And the golden toilets in the back room there. Yeah.
Right. Now, this isn't without at least some sort of response, whether this was, the alarm to be taken from this is warranted or not. They are certainly bringing attention to some events here that, should have some people worried, according to them. We got this clip from Fox here. Why don't you play this clip?
Oh, yes, this Fox clip. Here, let me full screen it.
The Fox clip,
The Fox clip, yeah. Listen to this lady read. It's weird.
Those calls to action playing out today outside the Phoenix FBI building. This is near 7th Street and Deer Valley Road. Several protesters armed with weapons were walking around the area. You see them standing on the corner across from the FBI headquarters. Others hold American flags. And one picture posted online showed a vehicle with the words Trump won on the side, a nod to the false assertion that former President Trump won.
Okay.
It was a weird read. Yeah, is she okay? Was she drunk? Is it either she had one too many martinis at lunch, or
somebody's talking to her in her ear while she's trying to read the prompter?
Yeah, it did kind of sound like that. Or she was had an upset stomach or something. Just a weird read, weird report. Now, if you're looking at the pictures, if you're just listening to the podcast version, there was 5 people, I think, that they could put into one picture at this, this armed.
There's one
protesters.
guy. Yeah, so they first show a guy that's got your sort of military vest. I think he's holding a gun.
Got a flak jacket. Got his AR style.
He has sunglasses, a hat, and kind of
a lot of camo.
The camo mask. Not a what is that? A mask?
The gator. Gator.
And then they show a guy in overalls with the Confederate flag.
Yeah, it's a fun collection. It was almost like a cartoonish collection of people. You've got the sort of hyper-militarized looking camo man. Then you've got the Farmer John with his bucket hat carrying a Confederate flag and his denim overalls. It's in total about 5 people. But,
the street corner,
they're at one street corner, And I love the part of the read where it's they were armed with weapons. It's okay. That is what that means. And also
holding American flags, as if that is there's something wrong with holding an American flag.
There were reports about a truck that said Trump won on it. Dun, dun, dun. Of course, connecting this all to the crazy January 6th extremists, the terrorists.
Right.
But a pretty small group here. But that's not all. It wasn't just about this one event here.
Yeah.
You've also got this story from the Daily Mail, Guns.
Yeah, Daily Mail reported FBI office gunman was U.S. Navy veteran who'd been on Bureau's radar for months. Oh, really? Always on people's the FBI's radar for months.
Always been on their radar for months, and yet
the FBI guy about that. By the way, we were at a dinner thing, and I did ask him. I was like, "How come you guys seem to have tracks of the shooters and some of the stuff?" And he's kind of like, "Well, we profile a lot of people."
Yeah, that's great. Okay. That's a great response.
Right.
Yeah, we profile everybody. Everybody's been on our radar.
It's like, all right,
the FBI. Yeah, you should have asked him about the kidnapping plot of Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh yeah. A lot of he is at least to me he expressed how he's a Trump supporter. He's a supporter of free speech and Second Amendment and all that stuff. So he's a good American.
All right, good.
But anyway, so here's the story: Ricky Walter Schiffer Jr. The 3-name thing is kind of a intelligence
always always 3 names,
and a junior, 42 years old, died on Thursday after trying to breach an FBI field office. The man who was killed in a police shootout after attacking the FBI field office in Ohio was a Navy veteran who once had top secret clearance and had been under FBI investigation for months, according to new reports. Ricky Walter Schiffer Jr., 42, this is the same thing. Quote, I'm sorry, not a quote. Schiffer's post on Donald Trump's Truth Social platform.
Oh, he was on Truth Social.
Yep. Suggest that he undertook the doomed attack in revenge for the FBI's raid and search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence earlier this week.
What does that mean? Why does somebody feel it's their job to take revenge for Trump?
Yeah, how come we called this too?
It kind of fits. You're right. You did almost literally call this exact thing last week.
Yeah.
And it is so weird because it matches so many of what we've seen with these specifically FBI operations, where they know about a guy, the guy happens to already have training, he's on social media, he's ripe,
he's on Truth Social, this is perfect,
for being sort of radicalized, and somehow it gets the idea in his head that it's his job to do something about it, as if that makes any sense. I mean, this man obviously was troubled in one way or another. I mean, it just the idea that you could single-handedly storm a random FBI field office in Ohio as revenge for a Florida raid on Mar-a-Lago. It just doesn't fit, man.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It fits perfectly because it doesn't fit.
Right.
It is
well, from our worldview, it fits perfect. I mean, the pattern is very obvious to the people that have been looking at this for a long time, and to that perspective, that it's obvious. It's like, of course.
Yeah.
Schiffer had been an enlisted sailor who served aboard the USS Columbia attack submarine, a job that requires top secret clearance, and also served as an infantryman in Florida National Guard. The Wall Street Journal reported. There it
Florida National Guard.
Yeah.
That's the connection.
As well, the FBI confirmed that it had been investigating Schiffer for months in connection with the U.S. Capitol riot.
Oh,
and
that's
another
interesting.
And another matter. We don't talk. No. But the Bureau said that it was not aware of a specific and credible threat.
Oh, sure. You've been investigating him for months. So he wasn't just known. He was under investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Police are seen. So there's a picture here of the police on the interstate. There's a picture of a submarine. Yeah, Navy submarine.
Cool submarine.
Later on here, I don't want to read through every little thing here because it goes through kind of his history in the Navy. And the part that I wanted to get to here, the Navy declined to comment. Schiffer left the Navy in 2003 as a fire control technician. Later down here, federal investigations
You've seen it January 6th.
Yeah. Right. He was there like the day before or something like that. Federal investigators are examining social media accounts they believe are tied to Schiffer, according to law enforcement officials. At least one of the messages on Trump's Truth social media platform appeared to have been posted after Schiffer tried to breach the FBI office. It read, quote, "If you don't hear from me, it is true I tried attacking the FBI." Wow. I mean,
it was after he did it, though?
Allegedly, yeah. But I mean, you have to post, especially for Truth Social. You have to post after you try, right? Another message posted.
Well, I mean, the message is, hey, if you don't hear from me again, then I did something crazy.
Right.
But to do it after you've been arrested.
I don't know if it's after he was arrested. It's after he breached the FBI office. So
he posted like from inside the office?
From his phone while he was driving away or something?
I don't know. I need more details.
Another message posted on the same site this week from @Ricky W. Schiffer Jr. included a call to arms and urged people to be ready for combat after the FBI search at Trump Mar-a-Lago's Florida estate. Schiffer, sporting body armor, attempted to break into the agency's Cincinnati field office, prompting a 5-hour standoff with authorities. He fled the office and was chased onto the highway before abandoning his car by a cornfield on a country road just off of Interstate 71. Like a perfect movie. Cornfield. Authorities are also looking into whether Schiffer, a Navy veteran, had ties to far-right extremist groups like the Proud Boys. Schiffer was armed with a nail gun.
Shouldn't they know this already? Well, they've been investigating him for months.
Well, they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find anything, so they're still looking. Schiffer was armed with a nail gun.
Okay.
And an AR-15 style rifle when he tried to breach the visitor screening area at the FBI office Thursday, according to officials. Schiffer fled when agents confronted him. I think that's when he truthed. Was when he fled the scene.
I don't know,
got on
man.
his phone
That's
and he's
very suspicious.
He was later spotted by a state trooper along a highway and got into a gun battle that ended with police killing him, authorities said.
Why the nail gun? Now, Gons, have you used a nail gun? Do you have experience with a nail gun?
Yes. I'm not very crafty, but I have used a nail gun.
I have only used nail guns that require an air compressor to be connected to it. Are there nail guns that don't need an air compressor? Is this like a staple gun type of thing?
Maybe it was a stapler. An actual stapler. They're calling a nail gun.
Yeah, he was just angry because somebody took his stapler.
Yeah. There's a couple more things to point out here, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Here. The burst of violence unfolded amid FBI warnings that federal agents could face attacks following the search in Florida. I think that's what the guy I was talking to was mentioning. The FBI is investigating what happened in Cincinnati as an act of domestic extremism, according to law enforcement officials. And we know about that. They've been planning this for a long time, so this fits right in. And then Schiffer's believed to have been in Washington in the days leading up to January 6, 2021 insurrection and may have been at the Capitol that day, but was not charged with any crimes in connection with the riot, the official said. Officials have warned of a rise in right-wing threats against federal agents since the FBI entered Trump's estate and what authorities said was part of an investigation whether he took classified documents with him after leaving the White House. So always connected back to that. And just look at all the crazy people rising up. And that's kind of the theme here today, and it's all sort of tied to this bigger psyop going on.
Okay, don't worry, everybody. I have discovered you can get cordless electric nail guns, but you still need to press it onto a surface in order for the nail. Maybe he was going to like nail a door shut or something. Anyways.
Trap them all inside until they give us our freedom.
That's how he barricades himself in. Speaking of barricade, there's another story.
There's another story.
APnews.com.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
This is a headline. Police, man killed himself after ramming U.S. Capitol barrier. Okay.
Oh, another Capitol assault.
Another Capitol, yeah. A man drove his car into a barricade near the U.S. Capitol early Sunday and then began firing gunshots.
Did he drive his barricade between the velvet ropes, though? Come on. Where's the video footage?
I don't know.
Little January 6th joke there for everybody.
Let's see. So, yes, I'm just going to start over. A man drove his car into a barricade near the U.S. Capitol early Sunday and then began firing gunshots in the air before fatally shooting himself, according to police, who said he did not seem to be targeting any member of Congress. The incident happened just before 4 a.m., I wonder if it was like 3:33 a.m., at a vehicle barricade set at East Capitol Street and Northeast and 2nd Street Southeast in Washington. It comes at a time when law enforcement authorities across the country are facing an increasing number of threats, and federal officials have warned about the potential of violent attacks on government buildings in the days since the FBI's search of former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. The attack is reminiscent of an incident when a man drove a vehicle into 2 Capitol police officers at a checkpoint in April 2021, killing an 18-year veteran of the force, and many on Capitol Hill remain on edge after supporters of the then president stormed the Capitol on January 6th, 2021. Authorities said the man, identified as Richard A. York III, 29. How come they're always juniors and thirds?
I don't know. This is very interesting. Yeah.
So Richard A. York III, 29 years old, of Delaware, crashed into the barricade, and that he was getting out of the car. The vehicle became engulfed in flames. The man then opened fire, firing several shots into the air as police approached. The police said that the man shot himself as the officers neared. He was later pronounced dead. And it goes on to say that they quote one of the officers here, quote, "We don't have any information and what would indicate his motivation at this point." So that's kind of where this article leaves it. Okay. But based on the patterns here, I feel that they are activating some members who may have been part of a more nefarious psychological operation of our people in service. You know, it's something that folks like Russ Dizdar have talked about. He talked specifically about this thing called the Black Awakening, the rise of the satanic super soldiers. And basically his thesis is that there are millions of satanic ritual victims, a lot of mind control victims, especially in the military, who are or have been for decades probably trained and brought
like
up.
Sleeper agents.
The sleeper agents,
thing.
Yeah. So it seems to be that kind of thing going on, and it's very useful in creating narratives that, well, one, not a narrative, more of an actual altercation with our institutions like the FBI, which polarizes, politically, but also you can physically destroy buildings and stuff like that. You have more excuse for funding. You have more excuse for surveillance. I mean, all the stuff that you'd want.
You can pretty well established.
Yeah.
Pattern.
But at the same time, I feel like this is we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more and more of this. Every time there's an event like this, it's always very suspicious that they always have some kind of connection to intelligence, FBI, all that stuff. It's always the same.
One of the recent shooters, this was the Highland Park shooter, I want to say, although there were so many close together. I don't want to necessarily I don't know, get the details wrong, but it was I believe it was the Highland Park shooter whose dad was an FBI agent or something like that, right?
Right, yeah.
Or was it he was an FBI informant? He had helped the FBI with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's always some weird connection. So speaking of, and this is all, of course, being framed around, see, Trump commands an army of lunatics who will do crazy things to take revenge for political actions against Trump or whatever. This particular one, the U.S. Capitol barricade one, particularly strange because he didn't shoot at anyone. There seemed to be no point. I mean, it simply seemed to be suicide by cop.
Right.
Is what it seems to. I mean, that's really the only thing there. He shot into the air. He didn't even shoot at officers. Now it continues here, it ramps up a little bit over here at the Daily Mail. Excuse me. FBI Bulletin. So this was a bulletin. FBI Bulletin.
Oh, FBI Bulletin. My original title here says DHS Bulletin, but okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. The one that I have now says FBI Bulletin. I wonder if your FBI handler there knew about this one. FBI Bulletin warns of dirty bomb threat and increasing calls for civil war in wake of Mar-a-Lago raid, while former agent and GOP Representative Brian Fitzpatrick says agency warned him that his life was in danger due to threats from Trump supporters. So Trump supporters threatening a GOP member, apparently. The FBI is warned of a dirty bomb threat and increasing calls for civil war after agents raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Remember when they said, we were trying to not make it a media circus?
Yeah. And we said, yeah, right.
Yeah, they basically triggered a whole section of Trump supporters to do crazy things, or alleged Trump supporters, at least. The Bureau said in a leaked memo they had received an uptick in violent threats on social media following the morning search last week. The chilling note reveals plans to put a dirty bomb in front of the agency's headquarters amid a suggested armed rebellion. It comes as House GOP Representative Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania revealed he was told his life was in danger amid the fallout. The former FBI agent said he was threatened by some of the same people who are heaping verbal attacks against the federal law enforcement. That's such a vague thing to say.
Yeah,
some of the same people who are heaping verbal attacks against the FBI were threatening him, I guess. Okay.
Okay.
Weird. Weird thing to say.
Bomb threat also equivalent to person that's not happy with the FBI.
Yeah, right. Good point. That's what's a great thing to point out. Again, connecting speech with violence.
Right.
Last Monday morning, agents executed, and then it talks about the Mar-a-Lago thing. But dirty bomb, that's a new one. A dirty bomb attack on the FBI headquarters. It kind of it's the Daily Mail, so it just says the same thing over and over and over. It does a couple paragraphs down. It said the FBI and DHS have, quote, identified multiple articulated threats and calls for the targeted killing of judicial, law enforcement, and government officials associated with the Palm Beach search. That's the Mar-a-Lago search, and the federal judge who approved the Palm Beach search warrant. It also highlights an incident last week when an armed Navy veteran tried to force his way into the FBI's Cincinnati office.
Yeah,
We talked about that one. Yeah. So, and it goes on, just more of this sort of chatter, as they would say in the intelligence industry that I am taking from movies and stuff. Chatter. We're getting a lot of chatter.
Right.
Now, speaking of chatter, Gons, this is going to sort of morph into our next section. We will take a very quick break before this, but this came across my desk, the desk here at the Basel headquarters. This is not just sort of FBI memos going out. This is not just, sort of politically motivated. This is being connected to what we've been sort of dissecting, deconstructing recently, which we think is of of the utmost importance, not just of its whatever level of reality is connected to this, but also, as Christian people, the church here, we need to pay attention to how sort of our story has been told, not just by, the government or the media, but also others who are claiming, the same thing, to be part of the church. This Christian nationalism that has been identified, the theocratic threat to American democracy, being sort of narrativized in the media, not just in, on the news channels, but very deeply being sort of constructed in print and digital media as well. And we're going to get into that. There's some very interesting details. But this video came across, which is being shared around, and it's from, what are they called? I don't even know if I should plug the Instagram account.
Whatever. Yeah, it's on Instagram.
It's basically like a social justice-y media activism type of thing. It's it's got a bit of a militant feel to it, kind of like an Antifa type feel. I'm not going to say they're affiliated with Antifa or whatever, but their logo is like a guy in a gas mask, and they're very sort of got this militant feel to them. But they shared out this video. I don't know if this was created by them or whatnot, but it's kind of a mashup of some social media posts. And the reason I'm showing this here is, again, it's important for everybody to have direct knowledge of what is influencing the people who are all fired up about Christian nationalism, what that means, what are they experiencing, what are they basing their theories and fears on, things like that. And we have this video here, Gons. Hopefully we censored it a little bit.
I hope I caught all of it. If not, okay. I apologize ahead of time. But yeah, I did do some editing to clean some stuff up because could be a little...
Okay, good. There's a couple little things in there. This is a family show. Mm-hmm. Now, again, the reason that I want to show this is because when we come in contact with people who are of this line of thinking, and I have very good longtime friends who are, who are kind of in the milieu of what you're about, are the people who have the very specific fears about theocracy and Christian nationalism. And it sounds redonkulous when I hear them talk about how scared they are. And these people know that I'm a Christian, it's just, we have a very interesting sort of back and forth about this, but it sounds ridiculous until you watch this video and realize this is what they're getting fed day in and day out. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, it's go time. Everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. The Democrat Nazis have gone too far.
Dear IRS, we the people accept your civil war. We've been waiting for this for a long time.
They have started a civil war. What are you going to do? Pick up the inside.
Give me 5,000 willing souls and we go to war.
And middle finger.
If you liberal Democrats are fixing to start something, I don't think you ain't smart enough.
You are no longer a federal agent, you are a target.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's the Wild Wild West. Get it on.
It's on.
Fight like you've never fought before. I will go out in a blaze of glory before I turn against my Heavenly Father or before I turn against this country. Know that.
What about you makes you think that this war is not going to reach you? Because I guarantee it is.
Yeah, that last guy has some weird, like, either contacts in or some kind of eye whitening filter that makes him look like crazy.
A Snapchat filter that makes his eyes look white, like his,
like he's a crazy person.
Like he's a crazy person or some sort of demon or something. Now, let's admit here that these are clips taken from people's social media. Of course, there's crazy people all over the place, so it wouldn't be hard to find people like this or people coming from the other side calling for violence. We definitely saw that for the past few years. And it's edited together. It's all kind of out of context. Again, I don't have any idea what the full context of this is, but the point I'm trying to make here is, you get enough of these videos floating around of seeming militia people, calling on the name of God and talking about civil war, calling IRS agents targets and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And you get enough of this scrolling past your social media feed, of course you're gonna fear the right-wing wackos. Mix that with mainstream reporting.
Either fear them or sort of be like, we gotta, you're right, we gotta come together, we gotta fight the tyranny, that kind of thing. So it's either one or the other, I suppose.
Yeah, or empower the intelligence agencies, empower the FBI.
Yeah.
That's been part of the fun about this whole thing is suddenly you now have liberal Democrats who, of course, in the early 2000s were anti-war, anti-government, anti-law enforcement. I mean, it was only 2 years ago, defund the police, defund the this, that. And now it's totally switched. It's a very effective psychological operation to suddenly get, left-leaning Democrat liberal people to be in full support of the FBI, regardless of, in the early 2000s, a lot of people don't remember this. In the early 2000s, the FBI was doing the same thing that they're doing now, which is infiltrating a group, setting people up, radicalizing young men on the internet, equipping them, and then busting them and, using it as some sort of victory march. They were doing the same thing to people of Middle Eastern descent in the early 2000s. It's not a new tactic. They just changed their target. It used to be they were doing it to people, Muslims, people of Middle Eastern descent, things like this. They were doing the exact same operations. And you had the left going bonkers on the FBI for this exact reason, telling them, that they were defund the FBI before the right was recently.
Yeah.
But whatever effective psychological operation, which I think this video and others like it are a part of that, it is definitely a hedge against the potential defunding of the FBI. And again, goes back to the midterms. You got to get Democrats to come vote in the midterms because Republicans have already committed to defunding the FBI, perhaps even disbanding it, et cetera, et cetera. So we got to make you afraid of all these crazy gun-toting, hillbillies so we can support the FBI, keep them going. And it's all wrapped up in this Christian nationalist threat narrative that's been going around, of which there has been not insignificant developments, thank you, which we will get to right after we take a quick break.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Come on, let's take a break, folks. You know this. We're on the value for value model, which means we don't take any corporate money whatsoever. No advertisements, affiliate codes, platform partnerships, no nothing, folks, which makes it easier for them to make the off-the-cuff decision to ban us for things that we never did because they don't make any money from us, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. But we're also not beholden to corporate interests because of our lack of corporate funding, and that feels good. Feels good when we're trying to sleep at night. Feels good when we, don't have to be brand friendly for advertisers. Things like this. And this is only possible through the value for value model, which is very simple. If you get value out of this show, at some point, consider how much value you get. Put a number on that value and go ahead and put that value back into the system. It's a big sort of ecosystem that keeps this show going. And if we provide value, if you get value from the show, please consider putting some value back in, because it's the only way that the show keeps going. It just doesn't keep. It just stops. If the value that it provides ceases to be returned into the system, it's just this is, sort of a natural way of things. That just means we've stopped providing value and the show will be over. But today is not that day, because people are continuing to realize that participating in the value for value model is not just a way to put integrity back into independent media, and indeed actual independence into independent media, but also it's a bit of a spiritual revolution too. I mean, to not rely on subtle, voluntary brainwashing by corporations to make you spend money on things that you don't need. It's a very powerful act to intentionally support a piece of media that you appreciate and that you want to continue. And we thank all of our producers for that, because that's what you are. You are producers. Gons, are you ready to thank some people?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Starting with producer Morph. Morph. And Morph is on a streak.
Yeah. Do you want to give me the number?
Well, I think it's 126, but that's wrong. It's 127.
Yeah! Oh, yeah!
Man, thank you so much.
11.
That's right. It comes in with the 1111 no. Thank you, Morph. Next up, we have, let's see, Isaac G. coming in with a pocket full of sevens.
Thank you, Isaac G.
We also have Sir LX Protocol V2 Knight of the Berean Protocol coming in with a pocket full of sevens and 65 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir LX Protocol V2.
Indeed. We've also got, this person's in the wrong spot, but we've got Darren S. Darren S. comes in. Yes, is on a 32 episode streak.
32.
Oh.
One shy.
That means, yes, Darren S. is one away from the 33 streak, the most fun streak. This note is from not today. No note from Darren. We also have this came in as $10.80, which broke down to $9.84 after fees. So I'm thinking maybe it was like a 1984 type of thing, but without the teen. This is Gene G.
Gene G, thank you.
Yes, and he's got a note here. Thanks for what you do. Gonzo, remember a few years back you did a talk on pre versus pro-trib rapture? I can't seem to find it anywhere. Is it available anywhere? And or what other materials would you recommend on the subject? Thanks, Gene G.
I think Gene, you're talking about the pre-wrath versus the pre-trib, which is what I talked about. And actually, Alan Kirshner is the gentleman you probably want to find his book. He does a very good job of comparing the pre-trib rapture doctrine with more pre-wrath rapture doctrine. Pre-wrath is, I don't know, I don't want to get into all of it here, but it's basically, it's kind of like a mid-trib, but it's just pre the wrath of God. So that's what it is. Timing is less important there in terms of like when in the tribulation period.
Right.
But I think if you go to facelikethesun.live, which is the Odyssey channel that archived most of the Face Like the Sun videos, if you just type in pre-trib or pre-wrath, in that channel, you might find that video. But email me if you can't find it, and I'll try to send you a link. I did a lecture, and I think I did a couple videos on it. Chris White also did a fantastic study on the pre-wrath rapture that I think is pretty airtight when it comes to looking at Scripture and seeing what Scripture teaches, going back to what the early church fathers were thinking with the topic of the rapture. So very interesting study. So yeah, go do that. Go to facelikethesun.live, which will take you to the Odyssey channel, archive of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, and look for the pre-wrath video there. Thanks, Gigi.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Indeed. We've also got producer Angela V coming in with a pocket full of sevens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No note?
Now, let's see here. We also Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh. We also we got a little bit of a mix-up, but I'm just going to go for it, and we'll straighten it out later.
Okay.
We've got Sir JC Knight of the Techno Squad.
And he's on a
crazy 136 episode streak.
Ooh, okay.
There was some.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Fast thing on 2 feet. 1001. Amen.
Yeah, came in with the 1001 and a note. He says, I was wondering why I wasn't getting Twitch notifications. Yes, we are banned on Twitch still.
Yeah.
But get on the newsletter. Get on your text message alerts. Get the whole things, folks. He says, sorry you got canceled. He says, I guess I'm restarting the streak, he says. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Now,
I saw this
I know.
on Friday.
There's, we're going to straighten it out. I sent him an email because I think maybe we have a thing. We're figuring it out.
Okay.
Anyways, we're going to give him the streak for this episode. Thank you, Sir JC, Knight of the Techno Squad.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our list of financial producers who came in the amount of $7.77 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got a few more people who came in under that amount. We'll think in the next break. But if you're ready to go, Gons, I say we get to talking about the Christian nationalism.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Yes, it is wake-up time, folks. And let's check in with the Christo-fascist, Christian nationalist, theocratic threat to American democracy.
So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist. And that's not a bad word.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Your dirty mouth needs a bath.
O Lord, bless this thy hand grenade, that with it thou mayst blow thine enemies to tiny bits in thy mercy. God will make you pay. Smite them!
Smite them! Okay, so we are going to head back to our favorite outlet in the world, and that is The Atlantic. Atlantic. Remember, this is primarily run, or at least owned, by Steve Jobs' widow. We should maybe check the
I'm looking at it
Harvard.
right now. Yep.
You're looking at it? Who owns?
Lauren Powell Jobs owns The Atlantic through her for-profit corporation, Emerson Collective.
Oh, it's just 100% ownership,
100% Lauren Powell Jobs.
That is rare to have it. Yeah.
It's private, private for profit.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's see what they have to say. This is coming from theatlantic.com. How extremist gun culture is trying to co-opt the Rosary. The Rosary, Gonzo. And there's a lot here. I'm going to try my best. Oh, we did not grab the archived version.
Oh,
Where
I
did
have
my
it here.
archive? Why do I not have
don't
it?
know.
You got to remember to put these into our document.
Go look at the doc. I'm pretty sure there's a. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I didn't.
Just pulled it up. It's okay. I'm going to get my own here. Now, we love going to the Atlantic. Now, I love going there because it being 100% owned by the same company and by the same woman primarily is an extremely rare thing when it comes to mainstream media. And it allows for some very interesting sort of back and forth on policy, I guess, like the policy of news reporting, these stances taken. When you've got like a corporation, like a public corporation, it seems that there's more consistent reporting, not even reporting, more consistent messaging. Yeah.
Well,
I can't think of a better word than that.
I'm looking at the statistics here, and they boast. Let's see, what is this? I think they boast here. It says about 34 million average monthly visits on their website, The Atlantic. So,
okay,
pretty large audience.
But when it's kind of owned by a single person, it's
you get to
very
really
interesting.
Shape the narrative.
You get to, you can kind of flippy floppy. You can have, because I would say out of all the mainstream outlets that we cover, The Atlantic has sort of the least consistent. They kind of go back and forth on who they're defending, what type of ideas they're promoting.
Right.
But we're switching back over here to something that will sound quite familiar. And it reads like this: just as the AR-15 rifle has become a sacred object for Christian nationalists in general.
What are you talking about, Atlantic? Right from the get-go. What?
Right from the get-go. Now,
the AR-15 rifle is like a sacred object for the controlling elite who would like for everybody to be afraid of those who wield such weapons.
So this is going to be a theme in this article, which is it is almost a rhetorical spell being cast rather than reporting facts. So the opening sentence, just as the AR-15 rifle has become a sacred object for Christian nationalists in general, and then it goes on to the next part. But making a statement that the AR-15 has become a sacred object for Christian nationalists. Now, I guess I don't really know a lot of Christian nationalists personally, because I don't know anybody who would call AR-15 an actual sacred object. Now, I could see how
it was blessed by the Pope. The Black Pope blessed it.
I could see how rhetorically you could make the case of just as the AR-15 rifle seems to have become a sacred object, or refer to it sort of metaphorically. Because what they're really trying to say, I believe what they're trying to say is these Christian nationalists love their guns, but they say that it has become a sacred object, obviously showing that the person who wrote this has never spent a day in an actual authentic sort of religious relationship with Christianity, but it is sort of an academic knowledge or a narrative knowledge of Christianity, because I don't think any actual Christian, nationalist or not, would say that an AR-15 is a sacred object. But that will become a theme in this whole thing. This sort of misunderstanding of Christianity, except for in sort of like a metaphorical or academic sense. So keep that in mind as we go. But these are the people who are shaping the narrative. Just as the AR-15 rifle has become a sacred object for Christian nationalists in general, the Rosary has acquired a militaristic meaning for the radical traditional, or rad-trad, Catholics. On this extremist fringe, rosary beads have been woven into a conspiratorial politics and absolutist gun culture. These armed radical traditionalists have taken up a spiritual notion that the rosary can be a weapon in the fight against evil and turned it into something dangerously literal. That is a very... Now, I think we'll just keep moving because
we're never going to get through this thing if we keep responding to every sentence. But yeah,
and here's the thing. You and I have read this whole article.
Yeah.
And we know what comes next.
Yeah.
And that sentence doesn't even make sense with how the rest of the article goes. But that's okay. Let's keep going. Their social media pages are saturated with images of rosaries draped over firearms, warriors in prayer, Deus Vult, that's God wills it, crusader memes, and exhortations for men to rise up and become church militants. Influencers on platforms such as Instagram share posts referencing everyday carry and GAT check. GAT is slang for firearm, they say.
Thanks, Atlantic.
Yes.
Was that one of the things that Lauren Powell Jobs was like, what is GAT? Tell me, what is GAT?
Exactly.
Let me know what GAT is.
This is the outlet that did the stop putting laser beams in Joe Biden's eyes meme breakdown.
Right.
So you really understand their sort of point of view here. And GAT checks that include soldiers' battle beads, handguns, and assault rifles. One artist posts illustrations of his favorite Catholic saints, clergy, and influencers toting AR-15 style rifles labeled Sanctum Rosarium, alongside violently homophobic screeds that are celebrated by social media accounts with thousands of followers. That is just a lot, huh?
There's a lot there.
Just a lot of stuff in there. The theologian and historian Massimo Fagioli has described a network of conservative Catholic bloggers and commentary organizations as a Catholic cyber militia that actively campaign against LGBTQ acceptance in the church. Catholic cyber militia is interesting because what they're talking about would in other places just be termed sort of like cyberbullying, but if you put cyber militia, it makes it sound much violent and dangerous. These rad trad rosary as weapon memes represent a social media diffusion of such messaging, and they work to integrate ultra conservative Catholicism with other aspects of online far right culture. The phenomenon might be tempting to dismiss as mere trolling or merchandising, and ironical provocations based on traditionalist Catholic symbols do exist, but the far right's constellation of violent, racist, and homophobic online milieus are well documented for providing a pathway to radicalization and real-world terrorist attacks.
I like are well documented is hyperlinked to The New Yorker. Well-documented source, The New Yorker.
Right, exactly. The rosary in these hands is anything but holy. Ooh.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, if you ask an evangelical, no rosary is holy, but that's just an evangelical. Okay. But for millions of believers, the beads, which provide an aid memoir for a sequence of devotional prayers, are a widely recognized symbol of Catholicism and a source of strength. And many take genuine sustenance from Catholic theology's concept of the church militant and the tradition of regarding the rosary as a weapon against Satan. As Pope Francis said in a 2020 address, there is no path to holiness without spiritual combat. And Francis, so violent, Pope Francis. And Francis is only one of many church officials who have endorsed the idea of the rosary as an armament in that fight. Okay.
Wait a minute.
So,
hold on.
There's a little bit of translation going on here, and to our Catholic listeners, which I know there are some, please forgive us if we do not have the best translation from sort of Catholic speak into Protestant speak here. But they basically just said it outright in the Atlantic here that, you know, the rosary used for prayer is considered a weapon against Satan. You know, in pretty simplistic Christian terms, it's basically just a physical object representing, you know, prayer as a weapon.
Yeah.
And look, anybody who's been a Christian for any amount of time, I've grown up in the church, I've heard prayer as a weapon my entire life. And it is spoken of this way because prayer is sort of a weapon in a spiritual battle. If you want to defeat the devil, or you want to, affect the spiritual world, or you want to do these things, what is your weapon besides prayer? Nothing. Prayer is the spiritual weapon. Now, of course, nowadays, especially in this Christian nationalist, freak out fest, the very word weapon is automatically substituted for ideas of guns, specifically.
Yeah, AR-15s.
Exactly. Physical, actual weapons. And even when the explicit words are prayer is a weapon, or in this case, the rosary is a weapon, to fight spiritual battles. When a secular person hears this and writes an article for The Atlantic, it is immediately translated to like
physical arms.
Physical weapon that can kill people as well as the devil. I don't even know if I'm saying that in the most articulate possible way. But this concept of spiritual warfare happening in a spiritual realm with prayer as the weapon is completely either ignored or misunderstood entirely.
Well, it's helping paint that narrative. I mean, there's obviously a presupposition of this author that, you know, this whole Christian nationalist thing is a threat, and that, and so I think the point you're trying to make here also is that the Pope specifically used the word combat. He said, "There's no path to holiness without spiritual combat." Oh, combat! So, you know, rosary being a weapon against Satan and prayer. We're in this combat, so it must be the same thing as, you know, because if you just take the word at face value, we're talking combat. It's a gun. It's a gun. Rosaries are guns.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's really interesting. And I know it's even hard for us to kind of accurately articulate the sort of, I don't know about deception is the right word, but
it's narrative
the mistranslation.
Yeah,
it's simply a mistranslation of
like
the
you
idea.
Said, I think it's like a spell to make people believe
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking.
The rosary as some kind, or people using a rosary to pray as some kind of like, oh, this person must be, the rosary up here, but then, you know, in the back of his truck or something, he's got an AR-15. He's going to blow you away if you don't bow to white God or whatever the characterization is.
I think I pointed out what the problem is. A secular person reading this, there is not a moment when they take a second to say, like, well, in Christian theology, you know, to do battle with the devil on a spiritual level, you pray.
We wrestle not against flesh and blood. There's a passage there, but let's not talk about that.
There is no reference to what a spiritual battle might mean to a secular person. And it is the omission of that I believe is the crux on which they are building this case. Now let's keep moving. In mainstream Catholicism, the rosary as weapon is not an intrinsically harmful interpretation of the sacramental, and this symbolism has a long history. In the 1930s and 40s, the ultramontane Catholic student publication Jeunesse étudiante catholique regularly used the concept to rally the faithful. Again, the concept. But the modern radical traditionalist Catholic movement, which generally rejects the Second Vatican Council's reforms, is far outside the majority opinion of the Roman Catholic Church in America. Many prominent American Catholic bishops advocate for gun control, and after the Uvalde school shooting, Bishop Daniel Flores of Brownsville, Texas, lamented the way some Americans sacralize death's instruments.
Okay, please. All right.
Militia culture. This is where it gets good. Militia culture and fetishism of Western civilization and masculinist anxieties have become mainstays of the far right in the U.S. And rad trad Catholics, gotta admit, rad trad is a pretty cool name. Rad trad Catholics have now taken up residence in this company. Their social media accounts commonly promote accelerationist, there's that word again, and survivalist content. Survivalists being along with combat medical and tactical training, as well as memes depicting balaclava-clad gunmen that draw on the terror wave or war core aesthetic that is popular in far-right circles. Like such networks, radical traditional Catholics sustain their own cottage industry of goods and services that reinforce the radicalization. Listen to this.
It's all about money.
Yeah. Rosaries are common among the merchandise on offer. Ooh, weapons. Some made of cartridge casings and complete with gunmetal finished crucifixes.
What?
It's just a cool rosary, man, made of bullets. and gunmetal Jesus. One Catholic online store, which describes itself as, quote, dedicated to offering battle-ready products and manuals to stand firm against the tactics of the devil, a New Testament reference. Sells replicas of the rosaries issued to American soldiers during the First World War. As combat rosaries. Discerning consumers can also buy a concealed carry permit for their combat rosary. Come on. That's cute. That's cute. And a sacramental storage box resembling an ammunition can.
I don't see a huge problem with this.
No, I mean, it's just
a clever
like
product.
It is a clever product.
Some clever Etsy store product.
Exactly. It's just kind of like a... You know, if you're into guns and stuff, you can get these fun little things.
You can't do anything with this
but they're
physically.
Talking about it as if it is as dangerous as the bullets itself or the armaments itself or whatever. And the very appreciation of like a military aesthetic is equated to being some sort of radical extremist. In 2016, the Pontifical Swiss Guard accepted a donation of combat rosaries during a ceremony at the Vatican. Their commander described the gift as the most powerful weapon that exists on the market. Again, just literally talking about prayer as a weapon, and that is used as like a case for this craziness. The militarism also glorifies a warrior mentality and notions of manliness and male strength. You got the toxic masculinity in here. This conflation of the masculine and the military is rooted in wider anxieties about Catholic manhood. I love the sort of like Freudian analysis of, this is rooted in the anxieties about Catholic manhood. The idea that it is in crisis has some currency among senior church figures and lay organizations. And it gives an example, and I'm going to skip it.
Yeah.
The Rosary
the Knights of Columbus. That's a
they do. Yeah, they mention. Okay.
Yeah, okay. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah, they just mention like some of the again tying it to sort of world dominating Catholic wars and crusades and things like that. The rosary as a weapon also gives a rad-trad Catholic men both a distinctive signifier within Christian nationalism and a sort of membership pass to the movement.
What? Who's in charge of this membership?
A rosary is apparently a membership pass to Christian nationalism. As the sociologists Andrew L. Whitehead and Samuel L. Perry note in the Taking America Back for God, Christian Nationalism in the United States, Catholics used to be regarded as enemies by Christian nationalists, and anti-Catholic nativism runs deep in American history. Today, Catholics are a growing contingent of Christian nationalism. Yeah, people forget that. The KKK is, or was, I don't know what their current thing is, but traditionally anti-Catholic. You know, sure, they were anti-black, anti-Jew,
anti-everything. They were
also anti-Catholic. You don't hear about that much because it's not very useful in sort of mainstream culture. But helping unite these former rivals is a quasi-theological doctrine of what Perry and another sociologist, Philip S. Gorski, have called righteous violence against political enemies regarded as demonic or satanic, be they secularists, progressives, or Jews. Okay, they're just throwing Jews in there. The hostility toward liberalism and secularism inherent in the traditionalist Catholicism is also pronounced within Christian nationalist circles, no longer stigmatized by evangelical nationalists. Yeah, see? Catholic imagery now blends freely with staple alt-right memes that romanticize ancient Rome or idealize the traditional patriarchal family. Oh no! Idealize traditional family values.
Yeah, they must be stopped, Basil. They are destroying our country. Haven't you read the papers?
All these traditional families. Some doctrinal differences and divisions remain.
What an astute observation, Atlantic.
That's what I'm saying. That is the funniest part about this. This is obviously written by somebody who literally only has an academic view of this quasi-invented narrative, as is evident by the fact that he quotes several authors and sociologists and not actually, he didn't interview anybody. He didn't talk to anybody.
Not using any scripture either, which
you
could do that. If they had done their homework, they could have easily weaponized some passages to make their points.
Right. Many radical traditional Catholic men maintain the hardline position that other forms of Christianity are heretical and hold that Catholics alone adhere to the one true church. Christian nationalism's nativism and its predilection for great replacement theory alienate some radical traditional Catholics who are not white or who are not born in the United States, and deep veins of anti-Catholicism persist among far-right Protestants. Yet, the convergence with the Christian nationalism is cemented in common causes, such as hostility toward abortion rights advocates, and then it kind of just goes into
all the stuff,
Yeah, they agree about...
They hate gays, all the stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So, which is funny, because again, from inside any of these actual Christian traditions, like the divides are much more pronounced than, the theological basis for salvation, like the number one thing, is so removed from one another and in some very clear-cut ways, but they both hate gays and they both hate
they're coming together. Oh no, the Catholics and the evangelicals have united in their effort to hate gays and
transphobics, homophobics. They can get past their sort of eternal battle
and their love for guns. They both love guns,
right.
But the rosaries too.
Yeah, and it ends with this. Catholics are taught to love and forgive their enemies, that to do otherwise is a sin. But the extremist understanding of spiritual warfare overrides that command. This would be another great example, a time for them to go into it. Oh, will they try? Let's see. To do battle with Satan, whose influence in the world is, according to Catholic demonology, real and menacing, is to deploy violence for deliverance and redemption. Spiritual warfare, deploying violence for deliverance and redemption. The battle beads culture of spiritual warfare permits radical traditional Catholics literally to demonize their political opponents and regard the use of armed force against them as sanctified. The sacramental rosary isn't just a spiritual weapon, but one that comes with physical ammunition. So
scary.
It's interesting because up until pretty much this exact point, the mainstream has done a very good job of pinpointing Christian nationalism as an evangelical Protestant movement. Problem. And they are now not even attempting to understand the term spiritual warfare as it is used within the church. At least the Protestant church. I guess I've never actually been to a Catholic mass, so who knows? Maybe they talk about spiritual warfare in this way, but I don't think so. I think I would have heard of it if that's the case. So, anyways, lumping them all together, the threat of Christian nationalism is far and wide, and the group, this is similar to what they did with general wokeism or like racism. You keep widening the goalposts. You make it easier and easier to include someone in the Christian nationalist group. They did that with racism. They did that with transphobia. They did that with, radical right-wing extremists, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think Truth Spirit in the chat mentioned what I was going to mention was that the author of this article probably watched too much of the Boondock Saints.
Yes.
You ever watch the Boondock Saints?
Yes.
It's a vigilante film of Catholics taking out criminals.
I was cruising through Twitter's I think Christian nationalism was
it's trending. It was trending
today,
today, I think,
again. Yeah, earlier today, and I clicked into there, and it was, I mean, pretty much just like Boondock Saints memes, upon Boondock Saints meme, especially with the rosary. The rosary was included in it. They would show their little rosaries.
Got the blood all over. Yeah, the whole deal. So this is interesting predictive programming in hindsight here. So
yeah. And it's working.
It's definitely working.
It's working pretty well, as it always does.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. It's a little update on how the group of Christian nationalists who are going to take over the country and theocrats are going to, enslave all the secularists and stuff like this, damaging American democracy. The group widens and becomes more threatening day by day. And all it takes is somebody who just simply does not understand a simple term to go ahead and write an article about it in the Atlantic, and boom.
It's a psyop.
I mean, come on. Give me a break.
Come on.
It's time for a break.
Time for our second break. We're going to thank some people.
This is my break.
Yeah, your break.
Yeah, we're going to thank some more producers.
Yeah.
I think we should start doing voicemails first.
Okay. Well, that's good because we have no voicemails today, as far as I know.
Okay. Well, folks, if you go over to canarycrynewstalk.com, there will be a tab, a green tab that pops up on the side or the bottom. Click on that, and a little button will come up, and you can leave us a message. You are giving us permission to play that message, but it's not guaranteed. And we got a few more people to thank who came in and supported the show financially under the $7.77 cutoff. And we'll thank them now, starting with one of the Streak sisters here. We've got producer Gail M. 158 episodes in a row.
158. Wow.
Women rule.
Newsom loves you.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Shout out to Sir JC. Sir JC, we have fixed the problem.
Good.
And everything is up to date. So he is up to date. Man, you guys are full of grace, he says, for keeping my streak alive. I am in your debt. Happy Monday, Canarium. Thank you, Sir JC, now to the Techno Squatch. We've also got Veronica D coming in.
Veronica D. She's
158.
Yeah. The other Streak sister.
Mm-hmm. We've got Sir Casey the Shield Knight, the Streak, 193 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir
Getting
Casey.
closer. Only 8 more episodes until the event 201 happens there for Sir Casey. We've got Runk Smash on a 19-episode streak.
Thank you, Runk Smash.
And I think that's it. Let's read Sir Scott here. We've got Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. I believe he will come in by the end of the day, which will make him 182 episodes in a row.
Also a streak setter. Thank you, Sir Scott.
Thank you very much, Sir Scott. Man, these trolls in the chat room are persistent recently.
Oh, more coming in. Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
I think I got it.
Yes,
got it? Okay. Temptation is entering the chat. I think that's it for this break. I think we're good to just keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. Yeah, people love the short break.
Keep it moving, baby.
Let's wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, y'all, wake up.
I don't even know what we're talking about next. It was just so much Christian nationalism. My brain is filled with Christian nationalism. I'm just a rosary bullet away from...
You're just one beat away from taking over the country. Let's talk about climate change.
Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out.
Climate change. Climate change. Climate change.
Mass extinction.
Climate change.
Fun jingles. We got an article here.
Why don't you take this one?
Yeah, we got an article here from Bloomberg. And the headline here Extreme heat uncovers lost villages, ancient ruins, and shipwrecks.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so, we've been hearing a lot about climate change, the ocean sea level rise, the melting ice, and, the world is going to be flooded.
Yeah.
Not always the case for everywhere, I suppose.
But the sea level is lowering?
Extreme heat this year has triggered wildfires, drought, and melting glaciers. Less expectedly, it's also revealed some weird and dark things about our past. Shipwrecks, corpses, ghost villages, ornamental gardens. I don't know.
Oh, dark.
Okay, yeah.
Dark history.
And ancient cities. Ornamental gardens can be dark and weird if they're like skulls or something. Here's a look at some of those discoveries. The first one here is Roman remains. Italy's drought has revealed artifacts from World War II and a glimpse of life under Nero. Months without rain and an earlier than usual halt in flows from melting snow in the Alps depleted the River Po, Italy's longest river, to its lowest level in 70 years.
I'm sorry, can you read that again? Melting snow depleted the river?
No, halts and flows from melting snow, yeah. So
halts
it's
and
not
flows
melting
from melting snow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the snow is not melting.
Snow's not melting. It's depleted the River Po, Italy's longest river, to its lowest level in 70 years. The dried-up riverbed revealed previously hidden World War II-era wreckage, such as a German tank and cargo ships.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, this is kind of like, In Rome, meanwhile, drought sapped the river... Let me try that again. In Rome, meanwhile, drought sapped the river Tiber and unveiled a bridge that's thought to have been built during Emperor Nero's rule. That's a long time ago. This summer's extremely hot and dry conditions in Italy forced the government to declare a state of emergency in July because all these ancient things are being revealed.
Yeah, maybe they're scared they're going to uncover some sort of Nephilim who will awaken.
Spanish Ghost Village, a town stuck in the early 1990s, has reemerged in Galicia, Spain.
1990s? Surely not the 1990s.
Aceredo, I think I'm saying that right, a village near Spain's border with Portugal, was flooded in 1992 to make room for the Alto Lindoso Reservoir.
Oh.
In February, about 30 years later, drought re-exposed the small town. Soon, tourists began flocking to see a place frozen in time.
It's just like a bunch of Tamagotchis and cassette tapes laying around.
VHS
players. Look at this ancient VCR.
Scientists expect Galicia to continue suffering from extreme dry spells. Quote, rainfall and drought patterns are always more complex, more difficult to predict scientifically, said Geoffrey Carnicer. You can't say that. Barcelona-based climate researcher and an author of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 6th assessment. Quote, the risk of drought in the next decades in this area will increase. You know, when you have scientists saying things, because I feel like scientists are getting misquoted or like quoted out of context a lot, because they you know, these mainstream outlets really do reveal kind of the true reality of what these climate scientists are seeing. You know, he says right here, rainfall and drought patterns are always more complex, more difficult to predict scientifically. But somehow we're coming up with all kinds of policy based on other predictions about what's happening.
Yeah, because you just got to tax them and then you can fix climate change.
Yeah. Grim Discoveries, Lake Mead unveils a creepy collection of the desert's history. I got some photos here of like a snorkel, just the goggles of a snorkel. I'll just read it here. Some U.S. reservoirs that shouldn't have brimmed with snowmelt in the spring instead had bathtub rings of dry dirt, including Lake Mead. The lake fell this year to a record low. Lake Mead, the massive reservoir at the iconic Hoover Dam, has shrunk to a fraction of its former self to become a site of ghoulish curiosity.
Ghoulish.
Visitors have come across everything from sunken boats to dead bodies. Quote, we can find everything from a missing jet ski to more bodies, said Michael Green. It's a lot of bodies, said Michael Green, an associate professor of history at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Quote, as the water recedes, we will find more, end quote. The human remains discovered at the site include a body in a barrel, according to the U.S. National Park Service. The cause of death is under investigation. Wasn't there a whole thing
I heard about this?
Wasn't there a whole... I remember seeing like a documentary or something about someone who did this. Like it was like an extreme sport thing in the early 1900s or something. Where they
talking about like Niagara Falls or something?
Was it Niagara Falls? Yeah, maybe something like that.
Niagara Falls in a barrel?
Yeah. Wasn't that
No,
a
this
thing?
was definitely a mob hit.
Yeah, or that, yeah.
Definitely a mob
Human
hit.
remains discovered, cause of death under investigation. The Shackleton wreckage, which we've covered, is part of the list here. The melting ice, of course, in Antarctica. On February 25th, Antarctic ice sea cover shrank to a satellite-era record low level, which may have helped solve one of the greatest mysteries in maritime history. Around that time, a crew set off on a research vessel from South Africa to the depths of the Weddell Sea, a remote area of the Antarctic coastline, to locate, survey, and film the wreckage of Sir Ernest Shackleton's ship Endurance.
Yes, we covered that live, basically.
Yeah. So we'll skip that one, the rest of it. A secret garden. A UK heat wave has unearthed a florid 17th century landscape. Extreme summertime heat in Britain has scorched the south lawn at a historic home in central England, revealing a hidden 17th century garden. Abroad, ornate patterns can be seen on the lawn at Chatsworth House of Derbyshire, dubbed the Great Parterre. The extensive garden dates to 1699 and was once filled with flower beds and paths. By 1730, the ornate landscape was grassed over, and because the new lawn has shorter roots, it burns more quickly. On July 26th, Chatsworth logged a temperature of 38.1 degrees Celsius, about 100 degrees. Degrees. It says 100 degrees Celsius. It's supposed to be Fahrenheit.
38.1 degrees Celsius, then parenthetical 100.6 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, I think
come
they
on,
meant,
guys.
yeah,
It's
come
supposed
on.
to be Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Also, 100 Fahrenheit. That's not
super hot. Maybe
not
for
the
this
end
area.
of the world.
Yeah, maybe for this area, it's something else.
Sure.
Also, Mesopotamian treasure, Bronze Age Empire Urban Center has reappeared in Iraq. This one's a little bit more interesting, too. From a dried-up area in Iraq's Mosul reservoir this year, the ruins of an extensive ancient city surfaced. A team of Kurdish and German archaeologists rushed to investigate the site of Kemun, an ancient city on the Tigris River that flourished under the Mitanni Empire from 1550 to 1350 BC during the Bronze Age.
You know, it brings up an interesting question. All these civilizations that are being uncovered by lack of water. First of all, we covered it before, the sleeping giant glacier in Antarctica and how the melting of the Antarctic glaciers are going to rise sea levels. Well, we have sea levels not rising here.
Right.
But also, if sea levels are supposed to be rising because of climate change, what happened to make these cities get covered in water? Was it climate change?
Climate change. Ancient climate change.
Thousands of years ago, climate change melted even bigger sleeping giant glaciers and covered these cities in water, and then more climate change is uncovering them. It's hard to... Why did it get covered in the first place, man?
The research team found ceramic vessels reportedly containing more than 100 cuneiform tablets. Those are Sumerian tablets. The discovery could provide more details about the end of the Mitanni period city and the start of Assyrian rule in the region. Quote, it is close to a miracle that cuneiform tablets made of unfired clay survived so many decades underwater, said University of Tübingen professor Peter Faulzner, who was part of the rescue excavations in Kemun, in a press release. And it goes on here. There's more here. Hunting relics in Norway. What else? That was the last one there. So, it's interesting because the one thing that I thought of was, there's an ancient account of a flood, Basil. I don't know if you know about this ancient flood. that apparently occurred.
There's a couple, but
that killed a bunch of Nephilim, some giants and some abominations. And when the waters receded, it didn't take long. This is the days of Noah here. It didn't take long for people who survived the flood to procreate and then also start building a tower to reach heaven and dethrone God and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
What kind of resources did they have? And, that's been a theory that some of the more, for our fringy friends, if you want to call them that, have speculated about what happened before the flood. The days of Noah that Jesus talks about. He talks, Jesus says in Matthew 24, as it were in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. So we have the sting here.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
And it just goes to show they probably excavated some stuff from the pre-flood era to start building their tower. And it talks about Nimrod becoming a Gibborim.
Cassette players and VCRs and Tamagotchis.
Right.
Yeah.
The ancient pre-flood Tamagotchi, which was more of a cat-like object or something.
Pre-flood Tamagotchis.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting thing. It kind of messes with people's minds, like, oh, climate change, oh no. But then it's like, wait a minute, the water's receding and it's revealing all this stuff.
Yeah.
It just goes to question. It makes you question, like, what is really going on here? I mean, hopefully for the normie and the gritters, they look at something like this and they stop for a moment. They're like, wait a minute, we've been told this whole time, fear of seawater rise, melting ice caps, all that stuff. Why are we seeing this huge receding of water that's resulting in the revealing of our ancient history?
And that's the interesting part, as we've done for quite some time now, which is go directly to the scientists, such as the Antarctic scientists, where pretty much every Antarctic scientist who studies in Antarctica, not those who are back here being science communicators or whatever, but you go directly to the scientists. And the climate change that is being advertised in the media is at least significantly different from the climate change that is being, actually is being written about in the actual science.
Right.
There's a translation error that is happening somewhere between the actual scientists and the science communicators or the mainstream media.
No surprises there.
I'm just surprised that nobody else is asking these questions. Or why didn't they answer? Why isn't that in this article? The author should be like, now you may be wondering if all of our glaciers are melting and our sea levels are rising, why all this water is also going away and uncovering ancient civilizations.
The only time they quote a climate scientist here, climate researcher, is when he says, kind of difficult to predict scientifically.
Yeah, right. That is the quote from an actual scientist is, it's really complicated and I don't know. I don't have anything good to tell you. See? Everybody go buy a Tesla.
Everybody eat bugs.
Well, speaking of which, climate change and the food crisis is coming up on us here, Gons.
Now you are cooking.
Can I get 2 hamburgers?
Yes, sir.
With French fries?
Yes, sir.
What about an omelet?
Sure. Got a couple eggs.
I like food. Food is good. I like food. Food is good.
Just a couple of quick mentions here. This is from drovers.com. The headline, Peanut M&Ms are healthier than beef and pork. Bill Gates funded study claims. Of course it is. Bill Gates and his meat alternative agenda. Oh, this must be a conservative.
I was looking at it. Yeah, I was trying to dig in a little bit more, and this Drovers. It brought me to some farmers kind of media outlet for farmers, like an
industry blog or something.
Yeah, some
maybe?
kind of. I'll try to dig it up again here.
Okay.
But continue.
Bill Gates and his, it would make sense that even not a political blog or whatever, if it's just for farmers by farmers, of course they're going to hate Bill Gates.
Yeah, they're going to hate Bill Gates.
The enemy of farmers across the world. Bill Gates and his meat alternative agenda rise again through his recent funding in a study claiming some candy and cereal are healthier than pork, chicken, and beef. Dr. Dariush Moirfarian, a cardiologist, nutrition researcher, and dean at the Tufts University Friedman School of Nutrition, Science, and Policy, was funded in part by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to conduct research on more than 8,000 different foods and beverages to create a food compass that rates each food on 9 nutritional values and gives each one a score on a scale of 0 to 100. The 9 nutritional values include nutrient ratios, that's unsaturated fat, saturated fat, fiber, carbohydrate, potassium, sodium, vitamins, minerals, food ingredients, additives, processing, specific lipids, fiber and protein, and phytochemicals. According to Maxofarian's scale used in the food compass, food or beverages with the following scores should be consumed accordingly. If the score is 0 to 30, limited consumption. If it's 31 to 69, very funny, consume in moderation. And 70 to 100 is highly encouraged. No limitation.
No limitations. Wow, eat as much as you want.
No limits. Let's see here. I'm going to jump down here. They kind of drag this Mofrian guy a little bit here. In order from best to worst, the following foods and scores, among many others, include cereal, Cocoa Puffs. Cocoa Puffs got a 64.
64! That's almost just eat it all the time.
That's almost unlimited edible. Then there's chicken breast, which scored 61, less than Cocoa Puffs. Cocoa Puffs is more healthy than chicken breast.
Grilled too. Grilled chicken breast. Come on, that's okay.
You know what else is on the list? Cooked opossum.
Yeah, of course.
Possum meat is 57. Potato chips, sour cream and onion flavored, is 56. Squirrel is 56. Squirrel is on the list. Corn chips.
Hey, eat a squirrel better than corn chips.
Yeah, Fritos is 55, so eat a squirrel. Put the Fritos down. Chicken breast rotisserie skin on, 48.
Wow.
Frito chips is healthier than chicken breast rotisserie. Then it has bear, 46.
Sure. Yeah,
beaver cooked, 43.
Bear and beaver, of course.
Yeah. Classic staples. Chicken wing is 38.
They really just go after the chicken in parts, huh? They're not doing bare leg or bare brain. They're not compartmentalizing there, but why compartmentalize the chicken?
Good point. Now here's the good stuff. M&M's peanut chocolate candies is 35. M&M's beef roasted lean only 29. M&M's is healthier than lean roasted beef. Now Reese's peanut butter cups got 28. So, but ground beef got 26. Reese's peanut butter cups and M&M's is healthier than.
Is this ground beef used at McDonald's or
that is a
what
good
quality
question.
Ground beef are we talking?
That is a good question. That is unspecified. Pork bacon smoked or cured is 24. Pumpkin pie is 23. Chocolate milk is 23. Pork roasted, cured, cooked lean and fat, 21. Pork and beef sausage. Pork sausage. It says pork and beef sausage.
Really go after pork at the end of this list here.
Is rated 1. It is the lowest possible score without getting a 0, which is, by the way, just to remind you, sausage is, 64 times more unhealthy than Cocoa Puffs. So this is a wonderful standard
by
which the future of our nutrition is being rated.
I think they are the Bill Gates. They hate Germans.
They do hate Germans.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing here. The Germans and their sausage.
Yeah, of course.
Big part of their culture there. So
Cocoa Puffs.
Eat Cocoa Puffs to stay healthy.
Cocoa Puffs.
This is unreal, man. This is.
I'm glad that possum is on there.
Yeah, just the animals.
Now,
yes.
Yes, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to, the About section of the Drovers website takes you to the farmjournal.com, and it says here, Farm Journal delivers the most widely used, trusted, and relevant business information throughout American agriculture.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it's an industry
thing.
Industry outlet. Yeah, of course they don't like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Especially when they're saying eating Cocoa Puffs is healthier than chicken, beef, or pork. Now, here's a real fun one. You know what wasn't on that list, Gons?
What?
Vice.com reporting, rejoice! People in the UK can finally eat insects again.
Oh, finally.
Rejoice! Hallelujah!
Rejoice.
Hallelujah! No
to
longer
the
do we
insects.
have to eat this unhealthy pork and beef and chicken. We can eat insects and Cocoa Puffs, and we can save the world. Lesser mealworms and house crickets are back on the menu in the UK, several years after an accidental consequence of the country leaving the European Union meant British companies were no longer allowed to sell them.
Look what Brexit did to the bug-eating industry.
Oh,
the
these
insect
poor
industry.
British people couldn't eat mealworms because of Brexit.
Oh, man.
United Nations says that the market for edible insects could be worth $6.3 billion by 2030. That is not very much.
2030.
Yeah, 2030 is there. Yeah, I mean, that is the plan, isn't it?
That's the plan, yeah.
And 2 billion people already eat them around the globe as part of their diet. A growing British industry was ready to help feed the nation. That was until Brexit. And the UK government said that edible bugs no longer had any laws regulating their consumption. Members of the UK's edible insect industry have now been vindicated.
Vindicated!
After the government admitted it shouldn't have told them to stop selling bugs post-Brexit. But of course, this only happens after
the fact, yeah.
Bojo leaves.
Yeah, of course.
Notice. But companies are also worried that new guidance will still prevent them from innovating.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Last month, the Food Standards Agency announced that it had been incorrect to have said back in August 2021 that the UK was not operating under transitional measures after leaving the European Union when it came to novel foods regulation, leaving British companies incapable of getting authorization for their edible insects. Then it goes into just details.
Some history,
but I mean,
yeah.
Come on, the whole thing. You can eat bugs again. Congratulations, UK. You are now get to join the list of creatures on this earth that regularly eat bugs. I cannot believe that you have been so oppressed after leaving the European Union.
Yeah, this speaks a lot about where we are as a society when an outlet as big as Vice is sitting there, and the presupposition is, come on,
rejoice!
We gotta eat bugs. With we got racism, we got Christian nationalism, but who's gonna speak up for the bugs to be eaten?
It's not all bad news, folks. The good news is you can eat bugs again.
Johnny Cool in the chat. Do foreign bugs taste better? Good question. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, I was just seeing if there's any other things in here. No, it's literally just they're so happy to eat bugs. There's no other details.
Okay, well.
Listen to this. Okay, this is fun. Quote, our potential to be a European leader has taken a knocking, but I think we're the ones who are the most innovative, Rousseau said. Quote, we've got quite a open to new experiences and food compared to lots of traditional countries in Europe.
You cut out
We've
a little
got
bit
a great
there.
market.
You cut out at the
go
beginning
again.
of that.
It's worth going again.
Okay.
This is a quote. Listen to the pride here. We've got quite a cosmopolitan market, and people are open to new experiences in food compared to lots of traditional countries in Europe. We've got a great market for this kind of thing. We're so open-minded and cosmopolitan. It's not a good sign for being called cosmopolitan, meaning that you're so susceptible to marketing that you'll eat bugs because you're such a high-minded cosmopolitan Brit.
Wow,
That's great.
Even the paragraph before is interesting. Insurance.
No, they just talk about all the different.
Well, insurance difficulties and expensive dossiers aside, the green light from the Food Standard Agency now means that 6 insect species are back on the table in the UK because they're included in the EU transition agreement. Lesser mealworm, house crickets, yellow mealworm, banded or decorated cricket, migratory locust, and black soldier fly. Racists. They're eating black soldiers.
Black soldier. Whoa. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Rejoice! Because it's coming to the UK and it's coming to your home next, folks.
Yay.
And with that, we should rejoice to check out some of our producer artwork.
This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. All right, this is our break where we thank our talented producers. We call upon our listeners to step up and become producers of the show by contributing with their God-given talent. With your God-given talent, don't just consume the content. Actually provide value back by building the culture behind the content. Yes. Provide value back by building the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that whatever you make is for the show. And we're going to kick it off with a good amount of audio production here.
Audio production.
First, a couple pieces here. Actually, it's one piece. Comes from Psalm 40.
Just listen to Psalm 40.
As a note, peace and blessings. I've been trying to make an Afrofuturism jingle for a while now, and it's proven difficult. Hopefully this is useful. Any ideas for a general Africa jingle? Godspeed. So let's take a listen here.
That's fun.
Interesting. It's kind of.
I only caught the back end of it.
Yeah, I don't like who's not like. I can't tell who's saying it. It's probably hard to find someone saying Afrofuturism.
I'm sure, but it's good. We got something now. We got a couple Africa jingles, so we have an intro. We got an outro. It's wonderful.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Jonathan F.
No, that was Psalm 40, but yeah.
Thank you very much, Psalm 40.
And next up is Jonathan F.
Jonathan F.
He came in with a couple pieces. He also brought a Afrofuturism jingle. Let's hear it.
Oh.
Yes, he went with the robot because
that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we got two here. We got the Jonathan F version and the Psalm 40 version. So we
love it.
Got something at least. So thank you very much, Jonathan F. He also gave us the Democrats IRS heart attack serum. Democrats going to hire 87,000 new IRS agents, and it's going to arm, as in guns. You know, Democrats are always upset about guns.
The Coca-Cola employees aren't going house to house and wrestling up
Democrats their heart attack serum that they make everybody drink.
You got deep faked.
Yeah, I got deep faked. Yeah, I got auto-tuned.
It. Thank you very much, Jonathan F.
Thank you, Jonathan F.
The Coca-Cola, the Democrats heart attack serum. Democrats IRS heart attack serum.
Yeah, very good. Next up, we have Caleb, who came in with a few pieces here. His first note here, a couple potential Christian nationalism jingles. The first was inspired by Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I think we played earlier here. Let's see, which one is this one? I'm trying to. Oh, here it is.
So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist, and that's not a bad word.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Your dirty mouth needs a bath.
Take that, Twitch. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene is showing up on all those Instagram accounts that I was talking about before.
Yeah, targeted for sure.
I'm getting targeted advertisements for what? Do you know what state she's in?
I forget. South Carolina, something like that.
I'm getting voting ads attacking her, which is fun because, like I said, it is very difficult for them to pin me down with the algos. So apparently they think I'm not where I am.
Yeah. Let's see. Georgia. That's right. Georgia.
That was
there close. We go. Yeah, and then he also, as part of the Christian nationalist jingle here, he also has one where he took Christian theologian Michael Horton. He did a whole piece on Christian nationalism and made a jingle out of it. And here's how that sounds.
So you see,
Wait, that's not it. Hold on, I must have grabbed the wrong one.
I think they're combined. I think they're combined.
Are they? Okay, here we go.
I think so.
The Bible opposes any notion of a Christian nation apart from the worldwide body of Christ.
Yeah. That's good because it gives a nuance, of what we talk about. So it's good.
Yeah, that's great. We got to remember to play that one.
Maybe that's the ending of the segment because it kind of wraps it up. Yeah. He also gave us just one for fun, the Arctic Truck Safari.
Welcome to the Arctic Truck Safari. We got more snow over here. Ooh, watch out. What's that?
Stinky penguin. That is fun. Stinky penguin.
Stinky penguins. There you go. That's all the audio production. Thank you so much. This is a good collection. Appreciate all of it. And these are definitely going to be used. So thank you to all the producers who came in with their audio. We're going to move over to some art.
Are you sure that's all of it? I'm seeing one more person on the list. Is that something else?
Oh, wait. Did I miss somebody on the list? Oh, Davy Frost. So. You're right. You're right. I missed Davy Frost. Sorry. There's a lot of them here. Davy Frost gave us a note. Hello, gentlemen. This is an old song I made back from the days as an EDM DJ producer circa early 2000s. We don't usually do stuff like that. I added some vocals and voila. It's still lacking, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I'd rather share it than let it sit and never be heard. Enjoy. So I guess added some vocals to maybe make it show related.
Make it show related. Okay.
Yeah. Let me get to the wave file.
Is this a full track?
It's a full track. It's almost 5 minutes long, so we'll hear a little bit.
Canary Crime mixtape track.
Yeah. Let's see what this brings here.
Okay.
Hello, robots.
The robots are coming for you.
That's pretty big.
Whoa.
Hello, robots.
Full humanoid bot. He's everywhere. Full spectrum dominance.
Robots are taking over the world.
Love it. All right. We'll play the whole thing at the Canary Crime. Yeah, we'll play the whole thing at the Canary Crime mixtape at the end of the show, and it may even show up on a Canary Crime mixtape volume later on.
Yep.
Thank you, Davy Frost.
Thank you, Davy Frost. All right, moving on to the art here.
One art, please.
Let me kick it off with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And I forgot to put some of the information here.
I got this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the Diary of Jane.
Yes.
J-I-N. Anshu Jain.
Yeah.
The former co-chief executive of Deutsche Bank died on Saturday in the UK after battling a form of stomach cancer. He was 59 years old. And a little highlighted part here is he was speaking at the World Economic Forum in 2017, which was the same. Oh, no. In 2020, he spoke at the World Economic Forum after being diagnosed with cancer in 2017. And here he is. You know, I will say, I've never seen this man before in my life. He's got some very sort of lizard eyeballs. I mean, they are just right out front and center. I mean, he's the co-chief of Deutsche Bank. Of course. Now, Deutsche Bank was one of the banks that Trump was getting in trouble for doing dealings with.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that affects that. Handsome fella, definitely looks like a co-chief of Deutsche Bank.
Just lizardly and evil.
A lizardly finance bro looking fella. he looks quite young in this drawing, but you know what? When you have such direct access to the lizard healthcare system,
the baby blood.
You look good, but he got taken out. 59 years old. That is too young.
That is very young. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
What did he say to upset the lizard overlords?
What did he do?
I'll
Well, thank you very
expose all
much.
of you. You have
Dame
cancer
Allie.
now.
Excellently rendered, by the way. Fantastically done. Getting closer and closer to just ultimate photorealism when it comes to her portraitures here.
Yeah, fantastic. Good job, Dame Allie. Keep it up. We got one here from Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And the note, peace. For this week's Bible artwork, I did an illustration from Romans 8:22. For we know that the whole creation groans together and travails together until now. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins.
Yep, and it's a photo of a log, kind of the end of a log here, of a fallen tree or a cut down tree, felled tree. And whoever was doing the chainsaw work here chainsawed a little sad face into the tree there, and written around the tree is creation has been groaning together. Yes, this tree is definitely groaning. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Yeah, thank you, Dove. And yeah, it's sad tree. Sad tree.
Groaning tree.
That is it for the artwork. We appreciate all the artists.
Indeed.
Continue to do the art. And we're going to go into some microfiction here.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
The first one comes from The Runk Smash.
Out of the sea he rises, with Troop 322 using the same dark magics UR30 as takes the form of the elderly man from the memes. The only man, he assumes, with laser eyes like his own. But he is met by a bang from the rifle of a man who vanishes.
Okay, so what? Biden's rising out of the sea? What's happening here?
UR30, which I don't know if we ever figured out what UR30 is. I think it's either a robot or a AI that takes the form of others. Took the form of Biden because
the form
of
of
the
the Biden
memes
meme.
with
Yeah,
his
yeah.
laser eyes.
Right.
Yes. I don't know who the rifle vanishing man is, though. So
the mystery continues.
Mystery abounds. Yes. Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. We also have the continuing ongoing series from the Sentinel here.
Whoosh! Basil brushes by the crowd as he completes a backwards pistol squat and launches himself into the sweeping crane stance. He's only feet behind Johnny Cale, who has been in the lead the entire match. The crowd chants, "Johnny, Johnny, Johnny." He isn't the most popular rollerblader in all of Orange County for no reason. They begin their laps around the rink. Basil's quick quads propel him forward, shoulder to shoulder with the Alpha Boy. "Faster, Basil, son!" Skate Say Gons yells. Johnny Cale brushes against Basil, pushing him to the outermost circumference of the rink. They're locked side by side as they complete their laps. As they pass the crowd again, though, a broom extends out beyond the barrier and sweeps Basil's leg. He goes down hard. The crowd oohs as the broom vanishes back into the crowd. "Get up, Basilson! Get up!"
Yeah, there's
dirty tricks.
Yeah, there's Skate Sagons.
Skate Sagons is there, offering at least moral support.
Maybe
Thank
it was
you,
Skate Sagons who planted.
I was gonna say maybe there's a lesson being taught here with the dirty broom trick. Thank you very much, the Sentinel. and all of our artists.
Yes.
And if you, dear listener, are a creative person, whether it's visual arts or literature or music or whatever you do, create something for the show and send it on in to canarycryradio@gmail.com. We'd love to feature it on the show. Very important role these artists have in the Canarium.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update. We have a Nephilim update in interesting ways. I think we've covered parts of this story before, but there was a new article on it, so we'll get through it here. And it's from Times Now. It was mirrored by MSN. And the headline, Ancient Child Thought to be only known individual whose parents were two different species. Okay. An ancient child from Siberia is believed to be the only known individual, I think it's known, individual whose parents were from two different species. Okay, so wait a minute. I thought you can't have crossbreeding between species, but okay, let's just continue reading here. The deduction was made possible by the 2010 unearthing of tiny fragments of bone and teeth fragments remains of a Denisovan who lived in lower and middle Paleolithic ages. While we know much about the Neanderthals, not much information is available to the public about Denisovans, except for when we reported on it, and there was a bunch of reports on it at one point. In a first, scientists... Oh, this is the part I wanted to point out. So in this article, there's a link to, another article that, just planting articles in there. And I thought it was part of the article, which confused me. But it was a hyperlink. This whole sentence is a hyperlink, not part of the article, but makes it kind of look like part of the article. In a first, scientists create synthetic embryos in lab without sperm or eggs. The remains were unearthed from the Denisovan. And I was like, whoa. I thought we reported on this thing a week or so ago. But the synthetic embryos and Denisovan DNA, what is happening? But I think this is just a clever planting of other stories that make it look like it's part of the story, but it's not. So yes, the remains were unearthed from a Denisovan cave in the Altai Mountains of Siberia more than a decade ago, but it was only recently that scientists were able to use the fossil piece to arrive at some answers. For more than 10 years, little research was done on the remains due to technological limitations, but that changed with the commencement of a new project called Finder. Like the Finder on my Mac here, my little folder finder, which aimed to shed light...
Find My Ancestor app.
Yeah, which aimed to shed light on the relationship between Neanderthals, Homo sapiens, and the Denisovans. The Denisovans, or Denisova hominins, are an extinct species or subspecies of archaic humans that ranged across Asia during the lower and middle Paleolithic. They are only known from a few physical remains and DNA evidence. Fossil fingerprinting and identification of new Denisovan remains from Pleistocene Asia is what Finder stands for. The team began studying the fragments discovered in 2010 and were soon able to conclude that nearly all the bones had been chewed by animals, rendering them unidentifiable.
Oh, no.
That's not good. They were eaten by the Nephilim. Project leader Katrina Dauka of the Max Planck Institute... It's got a lot of if you go into the UFO stuff and the alien abduction stuff, there's always mention of the Max Planck Institute of this nefarious organization. In Jena, along with Tom Higham, deputy director of Oxford University's Radiocarbon Accelerator Unit and an advisor to Finder, worked with a new tech called zooarchaeology by mass spectrometry, which helped them arrive at the fact. It's a fact that every human mammal group has or have had a distinct form of collagen. Okay. When the research proceeded further, the scientists came to know that one of the thousands of bones studied was from a human species. Further analysis at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig revealed the bone belonged to a person aged 13 or older at the time of death. The team from Max Planck Institute eventually found... How many times do they have to say Max Planck Institute? That must be some kind of SEO thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Eventually found that half of the sample contained Neanderthal DNA.
Oh,
and
my
the other
gosh.
half, Denisovan DNA, making the individual the only known being whose parents were from 2 different species.
That's not true. That's a mule. A mule is part horse, part donkey.
Hush.
That's 2 different species.
Hush.
What about a zebra or whatever it's called?
A liger.
A liger. Yeah.
After authentication of their groundbreaking find, the scientists came to know that the remains from Siberia were of a hybrid daughter of a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father. They nicknamed her Denny. The team's research was published in the journal Nature. It's published, so it must be true.
Yeah.
So, this is one of those things that, science and the labs and everything, they try to come up with a narrative or bolster their narratives about our ancient past. And it's fascinating to me that there is a biblical account of the B'nai Elohim, it's translated sons of God, who saw the daughters of men, the daughters of Adam, and apparently mated with them, took them as wives, and then they had children, and they were called the Nephilim, and, made God pretty angry, because God said, each after their own kind during creation. It's all over the first couple chapters of Genesis. But then obviously we had the fall, but then even after that, in Genesis 6, we have this account that led to the flood, some kind of abomination genetically, perhaps. So, finding this type of, artifact or whatever, it speaks to this idea that, first of all, the science, modern science, they have to categorize, they have to label things. So from the get-go, the premise could be wrong. They categorize these Denisovans, these Neanderthals, based on genetic information they find. But couldn't somebody, in the same milieu, couldn't somebody, this is theoretical, I'm not saying this is, factual, but theoretically, 1,000,000 years from now, somebody can take, a remains of a human from 2020 and the remains of a monkey from, or an ape maybe from, 1800 or something like that, and say, oh, their genetics are so close, they must have been, partner species or species that were close to each other, and then if you find somebody that has some genetic material or genetic code that seems to represent the ape, but it's also human, there was a ape-human hybrid, when really they maybe just shared some aspects of the same genome. So, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to say I understand all this stuff, but from the biblical context, it's interesting to me that they're starting to talk about a hybrid, an ancient hybrid from 2 different species, which, again, the biblical account has, which led to the flood.
Well, I think that is an interesting part. Yeah, it's almost... It's funny because they say, it's the first time we've ever seen it. We didn't think it could happen before. Yeah. I still stand by the liger and the mule comment, but okay. But also, it was, that is in the biblical account that there were, chimeric beings that were not approved of. And, it's interesting how we see that kind of repeat itself over and over. The science sort of referring back to what may have been put in different words in the Bible, but inevitably trying to say the same thing.
The account of some kind of hybridization in our history, which is I think more fascinating. You got Greek mythology, you got all that kind of stuff. So
real biological inequality. This is something which is way beyond just another species.
Human machine hybrids. Data is the key, and they will have power over us. That freaked me out.
That freaked me out, man.
Freaked me out.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We're going to be back on Wednesday, so don't go anywhere.
Today was...
Stay in your chair.
I forgot to mention at the top.
Today Fiat was Day, Gold Fiat Day.
This is 1971 gold standard. The dollar taken off the gold standard. Good decision.
Yay! We did it. We survived another one. Which was that 51 years now that we've been off the gold standard. Things seem to be going fine.
Yeah,
everything's
the
fine.
dollar's going to inflate.
We're fine. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is part of the fun. You think about inflation and economic cycles. They took it off the gold standard specifically, part of their reasoning was that this would lower, what's the word, volatility. That if they could just control it,
control the value of the currency, then they can control everything.
How's that,
they can control the supply.
Out? Yeah, it's not working very well, apparently.
Well, no, or it's working perfectly depending on who you ask.
Yes, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank our executive producer for today, and that's One Lousy Petunia. Thank you very much. Executive producer One Lousy Petunia. And thank you to all of our producers who make this show possible. We couldn't do it without you, with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Any way that you can help the show out, we would not be able to do the show that we do with the frequency that we do, with the sort of community and network of resources that we do. It would all be impossible if it weren't for our producers, and that includes our Clippies.
Yeah.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you to our Clippies who manage and populate the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. Go follow there. And Gons, I'm happy to say we reached 1,000 subscribers during the show today. During the show. Yeah, so that's very fun. The notifications telling me who was the 1,000th subscriber have not caught up yet, so I'm not exactly sure the exact person, but just know that we appreciate everybody who has followed that channel. Again, we recommend everybody go subscribe to the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube or Odyssey, because it's just a great resource, and you get this show, but instead of the 4 hours or whatever, 3 hours, it's clipped out to small, shareable, careable, bite-sized pieces that you can review information, share information, and if it wasn't for our Clippies, we could not do it. So thank you to producer Emsworth and producer Faye Liverin for doing the good work over there.
Yep, thank you very much.
Next up, we've got the timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work.
That's right. The timestamps are so important to so many things that we do. And we couldn't do those things if it weren't for the timestampers. Do we know who did the timestamps for last episode? Friday's episode.
I think it was Jade Bouncerson.
Okay. I'm going to have to look, because Jade Bouncerson's been working hard here.
She has been. Yeah.
She's
Christine
done
C looks like she got in there, but I think Jade Bouncerson did a little bit. Yeah, it looks like mostly Christine C actually.
Okay, wonderful. Christine C must be back in the saddle. We're glad to hear that, Christine C. Thank you very much. And whoever else helped, of course. Thank you to our social media gal. That's Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers for making sure our art gets up on the social media platforms there. And, of course, remember to go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Coming up this month, we got the Knoxville, Tennessee meetup on the 24th. We've got the Houston, Galveston, Texas, the Ozark, Branson, Missouri, and the Garland, Texas meetups, all going on the 27th and the 28th. And then next month, we've got Bend, Oregon. We've got Mountain View, Arizona. We've got Bald Eagle State Forest in October. This is great. I love seeing these meetups. And y'all need to go to these meetups because, meeting other Canarians, first of all, it's just cool that they're other Canarians, but meeting other people in general who are on the level, who know what's going on. You're not going to get all triggered around each other. You don't have to, you don't have to hide any of the weird fringy parts of yourself. This is good to meet people in your area. You already got tons to talk about. People find their best friends, their soulmates, and perhaps apocalypse buddies. Who knows? Go to canarycrymeetups.com. We'll see you at the meetup.
This is fun.
And, of course, if there's not a meetup near you, put one on yourself. It's easy. Just pick a time, pick a place, and let us know about it, and we'll tell the world. It's starting to ramp up, baby. I love it. Go leave us ratings and reviews. I've decided I will give updates throughout the week. We'll see if this helps. We have gotten 1 rating and review since last Friday, which is a good start. Now we just need 4 more by Friday. Why? Well, because when we get 5 or more reviews a week, it activates those algorithms that share the show with people who've never seen it before. If you use Apple Podcasts, you'll see, you get recommended podcasts, and it's, of course, based on your algorithms. And for people who have never seen or heard of this show before, when we get ratings and reviews, it recommends the show to them. And a lot of people find the show that way. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. And so if you haven't done so yet, especially you Apple Podcast users, please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us out so much. And we can't do anything to help ourselves in this regard except for encourage you in spirit and in truth. Please go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review. And if we get 5 or more by Friday, I'll go ooh woo, baby. Well, yeah, and if you don't know what to write, just go to Chad the Chad's review. He started a little story there. I don't know if it's already a story or what, but if you don't know what to do, just continue his little story. We're going to write a novel in the review section. It's going to be awesome. And go ahead and, thank you to Jam for the links.
Thank you, Jam.
And other than that, just leave. Just leave. No, don't just leave yet. Share the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your other favorite podcasters. Ooh, nothing more that podcasters love than being told about other podcasts. I'll tell you what, folks, that is a way to a podcaster's heart. But you don't have to do it the regular way. You don't have to just send them links or whatever. You can be a little bit more creative about it. And here's the thing: we heard about the cat. Got cats on the brain. We heard about the snake that got robot legs. Floppy, the robot legs. I'm thinking we got to have some talented, smart, brilliant roboticists listening to this show. I mean, if there's any roboticists in the world who have devoted their lives to emulating the magnificence of the human body created through the divine breath of the creator of the universe, but they just want to try it out with some boops and bops and beeps and plastic and screws and whatever, I get it. You're having fun here. Maybe you don't even know that you're helping the adversary regain his legs, reversing the curse from the beginning of time. You're just having fun. You're just like robots. We get it. So go ahead and build some podcast legs. Think of all the podcasts out there that don't have the ability to mobilize themselves. What if this podcast had a set of robotic legs? Then it wouldn't need ratings and reviews to share itself with people on Apple Podcasts. It could just wake up in the morning, hop into its little mech suit, and this little podcast go marching down the street. Oh, dude, look how cute he is, just bopping around, singing a little song, listening to all the truth about the mainstream legacy media and how their narratives are being crafted, not for our own benefit, but for the profit motive of corporations and the lizard people who run them. So go on there, kids. Go to robot school. Learn how to make whatever abomination you want, and build a pair of robot legs for podcasts. I'll tell you what, a lot of people trying to innovate in the podcast space, the technology that delivers it straight to our pockets, lots of different things coming down the pike with Web 3.0 and et cetera, but what nobody's working on is robot legs for podcasts. Just think, now you can take your podcast for a walk. Now you can take your podcast, teach it how to skateboard. Can you think about that? A little cute little podcast, skateboarding around.
I think mobile podcasting, and I don't mean that by like, we're podcasting in a bus, but actually in some kind of mech situation or robot situation, that'll be a thing. Like movement. So casting.
Prosthesis, which is that robot racing company. That was the original reason I got back on Twitter, was to try to get them to let me drive their robot.
Yes.
They're trying to make a robot racing league. They just got covered in Reuters.
Oh.
Yes, so they're gaining some headway there.
Took 3 years to get into Reuters, huh?
I have yet to convince them to let me drive one of their robots or represent the United States in their robot racing league, but I'm working on it, and maybe being the inspiration for a pair of robot legs for podcasts would get me there. And we got to convince them to let me do a live podcast while I drive their big mech suit robot thing.
Yeah.
I mean, hello. How is that not a thing already? Okay, folks. You don't have to do it that way. You can share the show however you want. But here's a tip. We like to call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, any last words?
We will see you Wednesday, Black Cat Appreciation Day.
I do believe. Okay, there you go. I have no idea.
Black cats ready.
Little boots, little mittens,
yeah.
Some little kitten mittens. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
We're all gonna die.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
I love the Great Reset.
Climate change, vaccines. Climate change, vaccines.
He's a Satanist.
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
It will kill.
Feed him more.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
And a resounding paka flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. They have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. They have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Propaganda rooster.
You little rascal. I am so hot.
You're so hot.
I'm... God. I am so hot.
So hot.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake. Give me a break.
Hello, robots.
The robots are coming for you.
That's pretty big.
Whoa.
Hello, robots.
Full humanoid bot. He's everywhere. Full spectrum dominance.
Robots are taking over the world.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
It will kill.
robots.
He's everywhere. Full spectrum dominance.
Robots are taking over the world.
Hello, robots.
The robots are coming for you.
That's pretty big. Full humanoid bot.
Foolish robots.
I love the Great Reset.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Robots are coming for you.
That's pretty big.
I'm for the robots.
Screw your freedom.
I'm for the robots.
Armageddon's on the way.
I'm for the robots.
Screw your freedom.
I love the Great Reset.
Hello, robots.
I do it with everyone. I do kiss people on the forehead.
Foolish robot.
Full humanoid bot. Whoa.
Data. Science is truth. You do not know what you are talking about.
Foolish robot.
The robots are coming for you.
That's pretty big.
It will kill.
Feed them more.
The robots are coming for you.
That's pretty big.
Armageddon's on the way.
Screw your freedom.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. Give me a break.
He's everywhere. Full spectrum dominance.
Robots are taking over the world.
Hello, robots.
So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist. And that's not a bad word.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Your dirty mouth needs a bath.
The Bible opposes any notion of a Christian nation apart from the worldwide body of Christ.
Spread the clouds across the sky and make
CanaryCrimeRadio.com/support.